Well, there goes the Daverhood. Good morning and welcome everybody live on this Saturday morning, February 20th, 2021 for the 786th episode of the Dave's Gone By Facebookio Podcastio Programmio of the stream with me, Dave Lefkowitz, my darling and adorable wife Joyce, who is across the room. How you doing, Joyce?
I'm trying to find your thing.
And I quote, I'm trying to find your thing. Kind of sounds like our honeymoon night, if you think about it. But you know, she found it. We're live streaming. We're doing our post-Valentine's Day. So you see on first glance, our set kind of looks sort of the same. Some of the same colors, but you'll notice the shift. Because we got to Valentine's Day with all the hearts and things, but in honor of Purim coming up and well, whatever else coming up, we went a little more whimsical for our 786th episode. We have, of course, Potato. I can't tell you the number of hours that Potato posed for my wife so that she could do these silhouette cutouts. Plus, of course,
David, it looks so different.
It's good.
They kind of look like pumpkins without the green, you know.
Joyce is saying they kind of look like pumpkins. These guys don't. It needs more stems, but we got stems on these. Look at it. Isn't that a perfect tomato right there? So a rather lovely new set. I don't want to tell you how we busted the budget on this. We have to go buy like tons.
The color green's expensive.
The green's really expensive. If we have to get a new scissor, because we use the scissors so much, cutting these out, a new bow here and there. It's gonna bust the budget for the next 2 months of this program, but darn it, worth it, because, I do anything for you. I'm Dave Lefkowitz. The show Dave's Gone By, a mix of humor and talk and culture and what have you that we do every Saturday from 9 until noon or thereabouts. We've been doing them since October of 2002, and oh boy, we've got, as every host says, as I always say, we've got a good one for you. We really do. We really, you're going to want to stick around for all the usual stuff. For example, we will have Greeley Crimes and Old Times. This is where we go through the newspaper of Greeley, the city of Greeley in northern Colorado, where they have a newspaper called the Greeley Tribune, which has headlines occasionally. One day this is going to fall to shreds in my hands, but until it does, this is a real newspaper, ladies and gentlemen. I show it almost every week. It still makes me laugh every time. The Trib was coming out 7 days a week. Now it's only 4 times a week hard copy, but there's still a newspaper every day on the web. But they have a sense of humor there, and there are 2 columns that they have every single week in the Trib. One is called Cop Log, about phone calls that come into police dispatch from people who are having or who are seeing something going weird in their community and are calling the cops. Most of the time, you read these and you go like, okay, why are they calling the cops? It's public record. They put it in the paper. We pick the funniest ones or the funniest ones that they pick to have fun with. And then we also have 100 Years Ago, where our friend Mike Peters goes through the newspapers back in 1921 and literally finds the things that from our modern perspective are like, oh, that's so silly or nostalgic or cute. We mix them up and put them in a segment called Greeley Crimes and Old Times, and we do that every week. We also have our Wretched Pun of Destiny is back. We don't do these every week. We try and bring them on occasionally, just because after we drop one, it's kind of like a Hiroshima or Nagasaki bomb. You drop it, this bad, terrible pun, and the aftershock and the aftermath and the stink and the rubble of that horrible, horrible joke, that terrible play on words, just lingers for weeks. So we portion them out, but we do have a brand new Wretched Pun of Destiny for you, all about a coup. So there you go. It'll be a semi-political one on Dave's Gone By. We will also have our Colorado, Limerick of the Damned. This stinks just as bad, quite honestly. It's because of our many years in Colorado. Joyce and I living there, I took it to, or upon myself, for no reason, and certainly no good reason, to write a poem about every possible city, town, village, municipality in the state of Colorado. And there's lots of them. And a lot of them are pretty easy to rhyme, some not so much. But trying to make a poem, a 5-line, rude, sometimes sick, sometimes disgusting, evil would be the word, poem about all these different places in Colorado. That's why we call them the Colorado Limericks of the Damned. And this time we go to Carson, Colorado, for our limerick. And we will have our Today Yesterday quiz. I know you all look forward to that. It's a plain old-ish trivia quiz started a year or two ago, when just for funsies. I started asking trivia questions on here, would give you guys a chance to answer back or type back on Facebook, and then just give the answers. But then it just mushroomed into, I don't know, my head's in Nagasaki right now, but mushroomed into this thing where we have guests and we have regular panelists and players, and it's become almost a wait, don't tell me kind of thing of 10 trivia questions that we will ask our regular panelists. I hope they will both make it. I think David Sheward. Oh, I already got 2 responses, so I'm guessing, well, I'm not, oh, hello, yes, yeah. So presumably, later on in the show, both David Sheward and Leslie Hoban Blake, our regular contestants, will be playing the Today Yesterday quiz, and they might or might not be playing against our guest. And this is very exciting. We have a guest who is, like I am, a playwright, and much more than I ever was, a screenwriter too, and an actor for a period of time. In fact, he was acting quite a bit early in his career, gave it up to become a writer because he had quite a bit of success in that field. And now, just recently, till the pandemic, has gone back to doing a bunch of acting. But we're talking about a celebrated writer named John Pielmeier. And I know, like, people are, oh, who? Well, if I tell you, John Pielmeier is the guy who wrote a little play and a little movie called Agnes of God. Remember that one? Yes, of course you remember that one. In the movie theater was Amanda Plummer, Jane Fonda, and it was Anne Bancroft. But it was on Broadway too. Plus, he had a couple of other Broadway shows, including The Boys of Winter and the mystery thriller Sleight of Hand. He's written, I'm not exaggerating, he's written dozens of teleplays and TV movies as well. He's written other plays. He's worked on a couple of musicals. John Pielmeier. Whoa. And John Pielmeier is going to be with us in the Daverhood, talking not to me, by the way, but to Rabbi Sol Solomon. Yes, the rabbi is with us too. He will be conducting the interview. Rabbi Sol is, of course, the founder and spiritual leader of Temple Sons of Bitches in Great Neck, New York. He's been with us since our very first episode. He's been off Broadway in a show that he and I co-wrote, but we get him to do as many of the interviews as we can on this program because he has, I don't know, he's just more playful and fun than I am.
Fred and Beaker.
Fred and Ann Beaker have joined us. Not joined us, but they're folks watching at home.
Ann Beaker, yes.
Well, and let's see. Potato wants to imitate Beaker on, it was the Muppet Show, right? So let's see if we can do it. Okay, Potato, you good? He does the occasional impression. So even if it's not good, say it's good because he's a potato. He's sensitive. Here we go. Okay, Potato, are you ready for your Beaker impersonation? Here we go. Very good, Potato. Thank you.
Why are you doing the Muppet Show?
Because of Beaker.
Oh.
Remember Beaker and Honeydew? Anyway, so John Pielmeier on the program with Rabbi Sol Solomon. What else? So I want to will be reminding you throughout the show that one of the reasons John Pielmeier will be on this program is that tonight on Lifetime Network he's got a movie that he wrote, The Long Island Serial Killer: A Mother's Hunt for justice. So you think this show is fun.
Is he the serial killer?
Actually, I've
The
seen
mother.
John Pielmeier in the supermarket. I've seen him stabbing boxes of Cheerios.
Uh-oh.
I've seen him strangling boxes of granola. He is definitely a serial killer.
Remember we saw the we saw that thing about those Steubenville kids.
Yeah, well, that wasn't killing. That was something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Although since we brought up cereal,
Mm-hmm.
you don't understand this. I don't know why you don't get this, but there was big news this last week or two
What?
that they're bringing back
the grape nuts. I don't get it at all. Who wants grape nuts?
Grape Nuts. I didn't know that there was a shortage. I didn't know that there was a problem in the great wide Grape Nuts world. But apparently, grape nuts were scarce for like half a year during the pandemic. And this is a cereal that nobody really pays much attention to. I mean, if Cheerios went off the market.
The kids wouldn't eat it. We had to eat it. So we wake up in the morning, they take a cereal box,
Yeah.
and they'd all get Cheerios or whatever the good ones were. And the person who got the grape nuts, the Raisin Bran, was always...
Oh, the Raisin Bran, no, Raisin Bran sucks.
Yeah.
Raisin Bran, whoever thought of Raisin Bran, I mean, there's a certain level of Dante's hell, where you wrote that paper years ago about connecting Dante's hell to the anatomy. The anus is the guy who, created Raisin Bran.
People who need more fiber.
No, you can have fiber without eating nugget raisins.
Raisins are not good for you because they have chemicals when they're dehydrated.
Ooh.
You dehydrate yeah.
Well, if you were to make them organic and natural, would they have the same thing?
Yeah, probably.
Ooh. Well, but the problem with Raisin Bran, I think we all know this, is first of all, when you're a kid and you would bring cereal to lunch or in the morning or bring it to school, and they gave you those little boxes that you still see in the Greek diners, and you would have a box of 6 cereals. And there'd be 3 in there that you really want.
That was the camp one, and they'd all go whoever got to the breakfast first would get to pick first.
Yeah, you get the one with the Tony the Tiger on it, the Frosted Flakes would get on.
Rice Krispies too, and anything chocolatey.
Cocoa Puffs, the Cocoa Puffs. I'm saving myself for the Cocoa Puffs. And then there'll always be the friggin' Raisin Bran. And even though we're Americans and we waste and we throw out everything, no, you get 6 boxes. Your mommy and daddy paid for it, so therefore, at some point, that 6th box. Now maybe you're like me, you get it out of the way early. Like first day you get the 6 boxes. Oh, I'll eat the Raisin Bran. And it's like, it's first of all, what child wants to eat bran cereal? What child needs bran cereal? At that age, your metabolism is moving so quickly. It's like, if you're going 800 miles on the Autobahn, you can go 804. It's a point. And then they ruin it even further by dropping what is nothing connected to sweet, sort of juicy still, chewable raisins. These are
disgusting.
Asphalt versions of like dried something that used to maybe be an equivalent to a grape. I don't even know. And they call this cereal the worst cereal, basically up until I tried muesli when I was much, much older. And then I was like, oh, this is worse than Raisin Bran. This is really horrible. But until I tried muesli, Raisin Bran was the worst. But Grape Nuts, you had to have a certain mindset. You had to be ready.
Does it taste like gravel?
It tastes like good gravel.
Does it taste like sand, or what is it?
No. It's got a nutty, oaty, crunchy flavor.
Is it like granola?
No, granola's tastier. And granola has more variation.
Oh, wow.
Because granola can be really good. Granola has almonds and flakes and a little bit of bran and a little corn. And granola can be really yummy and nuts, right? But there's no variation in grape nuts. You get a bowl of grape nuts, one nut, underneath it there's more grape nuts. It's just...
Is there really nuts? Are there nuts in it?
No, it's kind of like wheat. Well, thank God wheat germ doesn't have germs in it.
Ugh.
But when I was young, as a health thing, my mom used to make me eat, once a day, a spoonful of Kretschmer's wheat germ. We wouldn't sprinkle it on anything. We wouldn't use it for anything.
You could put on your cereal.
You could. You can. You do that with your
My flax.
Yeah, Joyce puts a spoonful of flax on her cereal every morning. To me, I go, it's like silt. I don't want this on my flakes. But I would have to eat a spoonful of silt every morning, all for years growing up, because there was no, you would wash it down with milk or chocolate milk. So it was like, here's your punishment, and there's your reward. But yeah, a dry spoonful.
Isn't that the Jewish, like, a child rearing style?
No, it's like, here's punishment, here's lesser punishment. That's being Jewish when you're
talking about the Holocaust.
Yes, that's right. And then we'll all sit and talk about the Holocaust. That's right.
Hanukkah show.
but the Grape Nuts thing.
That's the candelabrians or whatever.
But when you get into Grape Nuts and you understand that it's not going to be an instant pleasure like Cocoa Booms. It's not going to be something yummy like I got the Kellogg's Crave chocolate-filled chocolate cereal.
Remember the Israeli one, which was basically like, it was like chocolate inside of chocolate?
It was the Israeli version of Crave.
Yeah.
If you ever try it. And here's the secret, by the way. If you read the boxes of cereals and you get the one that you think is going to be so much more healthy.
Some have less sugar and
some
have
do.
more fiber. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but if you think you're being more good to yourself by getting like Honey Nut Cheerios versus sugary toasted marshmallow bumpy bumps, they're basically going to have the same number of calories. 160 calories dry, 200 in milk. Read the box. So Grape Nuts will have less. Because the one thing you have to do, if you were me, is you take the Grape Nuts, you sprinkle sugar
on.
Oh yeah. Oh, you sprinkle the sugar on them.
So that makes it more healthy.
Yeah, well, it makes you get through.
That makes it healthy.
It makes you able to eat this mound of sawdust.
But then why are people so obsessed with it? What's the big...
Because anything that's been around for so long becomes like a thing.
Really?
Anything that has lasted and has just been there and been there and been there, you feel nostalgic about it. But it's been there for 2 or 3 generations. Whether people like it or not, like Ovaltine. I see Ovaltine.
I tried it once. I didn't care for it.
I don't think I've ever tried it.
I used to give it to my uncle when he was sick. He used to give him calories. He liked it.
Yeah. No, I would like it too because I'm liking malt syrup now in some of the drinks that I drink. But I was beyond already the generation of Ovaltine. I was born in '64. Ovaltine was already like a 50s, 60s thing. And I remember one of the jokes in, I think it was Blazing Saddles, when the late Cloris Leachman had this thing of, come in, I'll make you Ovaltine. So it was already a Mel Brooksy generation kind of, but I see it there and I'm like, oh, Ovaltine's still here. And I've never tried it, and yet I would be a little sad if Ovaltine somehow went away.
Right? Why did Grape Nuts go away?
Either they ran low on grapes, or there was a shortage of nuts. There's no grapes in it, by the way. It's just ground up oat, wheat, flaxy, branny, whatever they do to it. But when you get into it, and you put a little sugar on it, it's actually very tasty.
Oh, wow.
But as I say, it takes a little work. It's not one of these things like Rice Krispies. You pour on milk, chomp, chomp, tasty. You don't even think about it. You got to think about Grape Nuts if you're eating them. You're looking at this bowl. It's a mound of stuff that's dense. Okay, this is like the cement of cereals. And you just go, and you know that if you're only half awake, it's going to be really difficult because the chewing noise. Someone with a hangover could not eat Grape Nuts because you just go, and it's like, what?
Really?
Oh my God, yeah. But it does, if you want a morning cereal that's going to get you out of bed and away from the breakfast table, to have some Grape Nuts, just chew them for like 2 minutes and you will be like, okay, I'm ready for the day. And taste-wise, they're tasty. It's not like a bland, like puffed rice, unsweetened cereal when you were growing up, or the kashi things when you were growing up.
Is it enjoyable?
For me, yes. I mean, I used to get Grape Nuts because I liked it. And does anybody remember this? Does anybody remember a cereal that was on the market maybe for 5 years or so. And it still remains my favorite cereal ever, and they discontinued it. It was kind of close to granola, and it was called CW Post.
Oh, yeah.
And it was Post brand, made the cereal. And it just had everything good. No chocolate, but everything good but chocolate in it. The oaty, the almondy, the honey, the pecan, and it was all clusters and little crunchy things. Oh, see, that made me, nobody remembers that. But I wish they would bring that back. But how did we get on? Oh, we got on this because apparently, who knew? It was very, very difficult to get Grape Nuts cereal in your supermarket for a long time. And now, my friends, it is back. Grape Nuts, you can go to your market apparently, or go there really soon and get yourself a box. And what's also great, you can tell Grape Nuts is like dense and stuff because if you hold up any other giant box of like cornflakes, so the box is like this size of cornflakes, and you hold it up, it's like 12 ounces or something like that. You get a little box, it's like an Arm & Hammer baking soda box of Grape Nuts. And you pick it up, it's like you need a weightlifter to get it off the shelf. You're like, this is going to crave my breakfast hunger. This is my cereal. So, yeah, ladies and gentlemen, Grape Nuts are back. That sound you hear, by the way, is my wife stirring her oatmeal cereal with blueberries. She's so healthy. She has oatmeal with blueberries and flax. And me, I think yesterday I had 2 devil dogs. And what did I have I had Hamantash.
I think you had some crack.
For breakfast this morning.
You didn't have your crack cocaine?
It's like, this is the difference between our eating patterns.
It's like, trying to stay alive.
I know, there's reasons Joyce has to eat super healthy the way she does. And I like oatmeal too. I do. But it's just like...
So you have Iris, Jonathan, and Michael.
Hello, Iris. Hello, Jonathan. And hello, Michael.
I try to email people, so I don't know.
Well, thank you, by the way, for all of you tuning in. I can't necessarily see all of you. Joyce can't see all your names, but please do, or say hi, or message me here, or drop me an email. davesgoneby@aol.com. Dave, like my name, Dave S. goneby@aol.com. And this actually reminded me, I'm going to do this now, so I don't have to do this later and embarrass myself when I do the Today Yesterday quiz. I just brought up the Roll a Die website. There. It's coming up momentarily. It's making a liar out of me, ain't it? There we go. So that will be ready for the Today Yesterday game later. Well, what else do I want to... Well, there's actually a lot. Sometimes I start a Saturday morning, I'm like, well, I'm going to talk about snow and this, and I've got nothing to talk about. Now, I'm like, what don't I want to talk about? Well, we're 11 plus months now into the pandemic. And not much is interesting is going on, not much fun is happening. So the big event of my week, the big exciting thing that I did this week was I went with my mother to the bank.
Wait. Where's the thing?
Oh, very good. Cha-ching. Went with Mom to the bank because we had to do some stuff. Banks these days are closing branches all over the place because everybody's banking online, like it or not, and they're learning they have to do that. And banks are wondering, well, why do we need to pay all this rent on real estate to do such a... Meanwhile, that in mind, this whole idea of... And I heard this before. It just occurred to me, about post offices. There was a comedian who was doing a bit about who uses the post office. And you go in and there's cobwebs everywhere because everybody emails, everybody says FedEx, everybody does it. Post office is not an anomaly. It's an archaic construct. There's no reason to have them. Meanwhile, that week, twice, I went to the post office, and the line was 10 minutes long. So people are still using the post office. And let me tell you something. They're still using the bank. Mm-hmm. So, and there's this local bank in our neighborhood that we need to get into. because they're closing the branch in a couple of weeks. And so we pick a day, and it was probably a mistake because we went on Tuesday, and it was right after a weekend. So they were closed on Sunday, and they closed on Monday for President's Day. So this was also the first day, per se, after 2 whole days closed, that people could access this financial institution. So they're being like super careful at the bank over the pandemic. They're okay, I guess good for them, right? So and so you come in. This is the genius/stupidity part of the way America has handled coronavirus this whole time. You go in and there's sort of, it's like a mudroom. There's a waiting area, basically where the cash machines are. So in this waiting area, which is a very small room, it's the size of a large elevator, you wait, and then go figure, there's another glass door before you can actually go into the bank. Sure, of course. Well, they lock that door during banking hours when the bank is open to the public because they don't want too many people they don't want too many people in the bank at the same time. They're being really super ass careful about distancing and all of this. But of course, the idiocy of this is now you've got like 7 people in a space the size of an elevator locked there. I mean, you can go out, into the street. You just can't go into the bank. But they're all waiting. They're waiting their turn. They want to get into the bank. They can't get in. They're locked in, right? Or locked into that space. Worse, you've got people who are done with their banking and they have to wait to be unlocked to be let out. Okay. I don't think you can do that. I don't think you are allowed to lock people in. Really? Yeah.
For safety, yeah.
Well, if there was a burglary, a horrible thing going on, but so what's happening is, I was standing there, my mom is standing there, and I'm trying, obviously, not to stand too close to. We're both wearing masks, but I'm trying not to get too close to her because she's exposed on some level, possibly, to certain things. I'm exposed. Because I work and I'm around and I go shopping, I'm out and about. So I'm not going to stand right next to her. It's not like I'm married to my mom. So we're far enough apart that people can't tell if we're there together, but close enough that so it's this weird thing. Plus, we're trying to all give each other distance in this stupid room where we're locked. Finally.
Is it one of those breakout rooms? Those
No, this is just going into the bank. This is like the vestibule in the very front when you first come into this bank. Mm-hmm. And finally, I guess enough people were done with their banking that this I wouldn't say surly, but this not very happy large African American woman, but guard unlocks the door, lets a couple of people out, and lets about 4 or 5 of us in to stand. And then she relocks the door. And then she starts divesting keys and things. And she goes downstairs, presumably to have her break or take a dump or whatever guards do, with the door locked again. With people locked outside, us locked, as it were, inside, but online waiting to use the bank.
Yeah, but tell them why, because the people cursed her out. What did they say?
Well, they didn't say anything. She wasn't there.
No, but the old Jewish lady.
Yeah, but the guard wasn't even there. Mm. So the guard went downstairs. There's nobody manning the door, which is locked. Mm. And now you've got more people, of course, who want to get into the bank, including, I swear to God, this fairly heavy-set 70-something Jewish woman who's standing there, with all these other people in this area, and you can tell she's getting rather. She's like, pushing the door. Door won't open. Locked. It's a bank. What are you locking the doors? And and finally, and when I say finally, this is within the space of maybe a minute and a half. This is the level of patience that Jewish people have. She let a minute and a half go to be really upset that she's in, and she should be, that she's stuck with a bunch of people in a fairly small space. But then she, starts with her fist on the glass door, and she's like, "Can someone open the fucking door?" And my mom is on. I'm on the line. We're all looking back, and we're like shrugging. We're like, "There's a reason the door's locked. We're trying to be good citizens. We're trying to see it from the point of view of the bank, of saying it's a pandemic. They can't let 30. They could. The bank is big enough." But
David,
yeah.
remember when we got locked in the airport in Aruba and they canceled the flight a second time and people went through the emergency exit?
Yeah, because people get closer. They get panicky. I understand that completely, right? I mean, this woman, all she had to do and what she ended up doing was just going, back out and standing with the main front door open and just getting air, and distance from other people.
Whoa, yeah.
But before that, she was like, and we're all, the guys who are literally waiting to get out of the bank because they're done, and they're just waiting for someone to open the door and let them out. They're like, have a little patience. It's locked, okay?
A minute's not a long time to wait.
Yeah, well, maybe it was 2 or 3 minutes. But it was this, and maybe she was on her, well, I don't think this woman was on her lunch hour. She was probably beyond that age. But, so already it's this miserably unpleasant way to do your basic daily commerce. It's incredible. We have so much good and so many conveniences and so many wonderful things right at our fingertips in modern 21st century. Every song you want to hear, every show you want to watch, and you turn on the car and the heat goes on in 10 seconds. Yeah, I mean, it's all this amazing, wonderful stuff, and yet they've taken things that were, if not a pleasure, then certainly pleasant years ago. Getting on an airplane, going on a train, going to the bank, to some extent going to a supermarket, and just made them worse and worse and more like cattle and more like, oh, John, let me just get through this. Bank used to be, you get a cup of coffee, you meet with a financial advisor, they do this, do you need this, do you sign this, please, do you need a loan, we'll talk about it. Now it's just like, wait in line, don't cut the line, stand here, stand there.
They're also, I'm sure that a lot of people, and I know that bank chain, but I'm sure a lot of people are sad they're losing their job, they're losing, they're probably not happy either that the bank they've worked at for so long, whether they liked it or not, is closing.
Oh, tell me,
they're probably going through some grief. Right?
Well, this is kind of part two. This is the thing. This is so we're we wait online. It takes about 10 minutes on the line to get to finally a teller, and it's like, okay, we need to use the safety deposit box, right? That's what we need because the bank's closing. We got to do something with this stuff. So finally, we get the woman. Very nice lady, lets us in, go in, and it takes us all of 3 minutes to do what we've got to do. And if you've ever, at least with this bank, if you go and deal with safety deposits, you go into a whole separate glass encased area.
Yeah, it's usually like a vault. Usually it's near the vault. Yeah.
Well, the thing is, there's the vault, which is actually open. They leave a big vault door open where all the deposit boxes are. And then there's little small cubicle rooms, like little study hall rooms near it. But all of them, since the vault is unlocked, the actual space around the vault has a locked glass door. So in other words, even, you can come in and out of the vault as you please. Point is, you can't get out of that one little area. So we finish our business, get everything ready.
You did duty?
we did our duty, and now we're ringing the bell to get out because there's a little bell there and waving that, okay, we're done. And like, I would say a good 3, 4, maybe 5 minutes went by that we're standing there. And it's like, okay, we're finished. I can't imagine that the bank wants us to be hanging with millions of dollars of people's stuff in the vault area. Let us out of here. And meanwhile, kind of nothing. And people are ignoring us. There's a sanitation guy with giant garbage buckets. And mom is like kind of waving to him, like, could you tell someone, please, that we're here and we're ready and and finally she rings again.
Yeah.
And this I never really honestly knew about my mom, but or maybe this has happened later in life, but she's turned a bit claustrophobic. And the comedy about this is that I get claustrophobic. I mean, I don't have that, but I get it. But the irony is, yes, we were locked into this one particular area and could not get out. But of all the places to be locked in, this was pure glass. You could see not only into the bank, but you could see past the bank because the windows of the bank outside were all glass too. So you could very easily see the street, the cars, light, sunlight. And yet, it's a mental thing. Mom goes pacing back and forth, and she starts to flip out. She starts to have, I wouldn't quite say, had it gone on for a few more minutes, she would have had a full-blown panic attack or some kind of attack. And she's like ringing, and she's like, please, someone help me, the way she does. That's her, like,
what's that?
Like, what is that?
It looks like a chip by a prairie dog.
She went into prairie dog mode. And someone help. And finally, and the woman literally had to be 8 minutes max that this went on. Like 8 minutes out of our lives that are years and years and years long. But 8 minutes for a panic, for someone who's claustrophobic is a lot of time. We just watched the Star Trek episode where this guy, the Irish guy, he's brought to this thing. He's convicted of some crime, and he thinks he spent 20 years in a prison cell in solitary confinement. He's only been asleep about 8 hours, but they implanted the idea that he had been in that cell for years and years. It's totally messed him up, right? So for someone in a panic, time is ticking every second that you're in this claustrophobic mode. And it's just getting worse and worse because you don't know. I mean, of course they're going to let us. But so finally, the woman came back up.
We're not alone. Like, to me.
Yeah. Well, she wasn't alone. I was with her.
That's what I'm saying. If you're alone, like we got stuck in Times Square when you used to go to the Times Square. I guess the Valley Stream. I don't know where it was. Maybe Valley Stream.
Yeah. Joyce is saying we were in Times Square.
Elevator. And the elevator got stuck between floors, and it was me, my mother, and father, and my dad opened the doors with his hands to get us out.
Wow. And
we were there like a minute or two, but I know that it was freaking him out. He wanted to get out.
Well, in an elevator, you also don't know if something's going to go like...
Drop.
Yeah. I mean, there's that.
I think he just wanted to get like his Sears tools and a tire.
Yeah. So finally, the woman comes back and she admits, she said, I didn't hear the bell. I'm like, it's a bank! Are they letting this thing run because you're closing it? So, I didn't say this, so it's just in my head. But it's like, you've got people in a vault in a bank, and you've got someone ringing the bell to let you out.
Anywhere. I mean,
yeah, but it's like...
Most people take more than 3 minutes to get their stuff.
True, but at the same time, you hear the bell dinging in a bank. Somebody should be responding to that quickly.
She's thinking, I'm getting fired.
Well, we asked her. She's a very nice woman. We asked her, so what's happening with you? She was, I don't know. She didn't know if she was going to be transferred to another branch or anything else. But we got the hell out of there. I mean, what should have been, and what was years ago, a simple, pleasant, transactional thing. Go into the bank, wait a little bit online, have a little sweet, or, because I used to give it candy in the banking and stuff, or hot cocoa, and do your business, write a form, come on. Now it's just like, wait here, locked in, come in, wait, turn, go, open, we'll lock you in. We'll let you out when we're ready to let you out. And then, of course, we had to wait to get back out again from the front door.
No one in the family ever went to prison. That would have been...
Well, no, we haven't been to prison. But also, there's an expectation. If you go to prison, you expect to have a regimented, you get up here, you eat here, you get gang raped in the shower,
It's a pandemic, honey.
Yeah, well, it is, but I don't think other banks are bad. Chase doesn't behave that way. I do banking at I'm using names of...
This bank is short-staffed because they're closing, so they can't have a lot of people because they can't control the people.
But I don't think it has to be that way. I think it also does go back to this sort of like this selective over-enforcement. This idea that supermarket, Target, go ahead, Walmart, fine, but a restaurant, you're closed until we say you're...
Because you take off your mask to eat.
I know, but I don't know, honestly. And And this is the other story I wanted to get to. You may have heard about this. And this, it bothers me on both sides because both sides are right. And this is tough. I don't know if you've heard about this. This week, or maybe at this point it was last week, there's a restaurant in Brooklyn called the Red Hook Tavern, presumably near Red Hook, Brooklyn, right? And they have wait staff. And now that the vaccine is presumably available, if you can, and Brooklyn apparently you can get it a lot easier than you can on Long Island. But now that the COVID vaccine is here, the restaurant said, okay, if you want to keep working here, you got to get the vaccine. Okay, if you are a wait staff, if you're working at this restaurant for the safety of our customers, to be good citizen soldiers during the pandemic, get your vaccines. Right? And one employee, one waitress at this restaurant, who by the way had pulled a double shift on Valentine's Day, so a devoted, good, hardworking waitress, who happens to be pregnant, said, I'm not so sure. Okay, I understand the vaccine is supposed to be fang and safe and healthy, but I'm not so sure I want to get it yet. I'm not so sure I want to be part of this enormous worldwide clinical trial of a drug whose long-lasting effects we really don't know. So I'm going to sit this out for a little bit and see, especially since I've got a baby in me, of how this vaccine works on pregnant women and so forth. And how do you think the restaurant reacted?
They fired her.
They fired her.
Wow.
They fired this waitress in Brooklyn. And it bugs me because she said she's upset and she's disappointed and blah, 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 and that you put so much work and effort into a restaurant and they don't give you anything back. But she's not suing. She's not pursuing this legally in any civil kind of a way. Which sucks, not so much because I wanted to get revenge, but I would love to see this play out in court. I would love for both sides to really make this argument. People should get the vaccine. And this woman said, look, I'm not anti-vaxxer. My kid will get smallpox and DPT and whatever kids are getting now against all the usual polio-like ailments and German measles, rubella, whatever vaccines they give kids, right? But this new vaccine that just came on the market that is looking safe, certainly in the short term, looking quite safe, where the first shot, no problem, second shot, some people have some fairly rough reactions, but obviously not hospitalization and death, the way the disease is hitting people. And she's just saying, I'd rather not. And the restaurant is saying, well, if you'd rather not, fine, but restaurant policy that we made up a week ago says you take the vaccine or you're fired. And she's fired. I just don't know if a restaurant has the ability to make that kind of rule.
So I don't know. What I was told is that because it's at the university, we can't require students to take it because it's experimental. It's not completely FDA approved.
It is not. It is not FDA. Joyce is saying it's not FDA approved.
That's why you can't force. You can't force people.
Well, this restaurant can, which is, I think.
Well, you know why? Probably the way they get around it. And
if
you think about it,
mm-hmm.
It's like doctors and nurses and all those people. They're first line people. So the service people who work in the service sector, like who serve other people,
mm-hmm.
they're at high risk because they have a lot of contact with people. So the rationale is probably like you're exposed to a lot of people, so we need you to do it. It's like Instacart shopper. You know?
I get it, but
that's probably the rationale. I don't know.
It's a fair rationale, except for the fact that for 11 months or however long this restaurant has been reopened. Mm-hmm. Or serving takeout or whatever they were able to do in Brooklyn. They're like, everybody served without the vaccine.
Yeah, but
vaccine wasn't there 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, but that's what they would say. So now it's available and you gotta get it.
Yeah, and it's not so readily available either. You gotta, if you've tried to get this vaccine in Nassau County, good. Now, and I haven't been trying, I admit, that hard because I'm needle phobic. But if you think it's going to be, or we thought by now, oh, just local Duane Reade. Maybe you have to make an appointment. Maybe you have to wait on a line there for half an hour outside the door. But it's at the Duane Reade. You go in, you get your shot, and then you pick up a 6-pack of Boost or whatever you need. So no, not even going to Northwell Health or anything. It's not here. You want the shot? You want a shot on Monday? Go to Potsdam, New York. So one place on the website. Maybe because Harry Truman was there. So the president was there. They put all the vaccines because it's in honor of him. I don't know. I'm just saying, if you look at the list of all the places, Wantagh, Jones Beach, no, not available. Not available to people, as they say, in the service industry. People who right now are and would be entitled to get the vaccine. I'm not saying people who are just want the vaccine because they're in their 50s and they want to be safe and so forth. I'm saying these are folks who the CDC and Fauci and whoever else say, yeah, no, they should be getting the vaccine already. But it bugs me. And one of the cool thing is, of course, the first thing I did was I ran out on Facebook and I checked them on Yelp, because this is the best thing to do. So I checked this Red Hook Tavern on Yelp. And I noticed it was like a 3-star bistro, which is not bad. It's not wonderful. 3 stars, okay, perfectly good bistro. But I'm guessing that, and this is the great revenge, I'm guessing that this bistro is maybe 3.5 to 4 stars. But if you scroll through for the first 100 reviews of the restaurant, it's people going, how dare they fire this woman? She's pregnant, so they should not be able to make up their minds for her what she does with her body. 1 star, 1 star, 1 star, 1 star, 1 star. And they do warn you that when you go to the Yelp website for...
That's anonymous. Remember Anonymous?
Not all. No. I mean, you can make up, I guess, whatever name you are connected to an email, but it's not 100% anonymous. But it does say when you jump on that page, it's kind of like when someone dies and you go onto the Wikipedia page. Yeah. And this page is being updated very frequently. Have a care with the information and stuff. Yelp will say, well, this particular establishment is getting a lot of hits right now because it's in the news. So please keep that in mind when you're ...
So they can let you know.
And Yelp also says, please confine the reviews to actual reviews if you've been to the establishment. But no, people are just posting 1 star, 1 star. How dare they? I used to eat here. And the thing that would keep me away from this place, pandemic or no pandemic, firing this poor waitress or not firing the poor waitress, is they have a hamburger for which they charge $26.
What is it?
It's for a burger. Okay, and it's not Kobe beef. It's not ground up fugu. It's a friggin' hamburger with a little bacon on it, a little sauce. And some say the hamburgers are really good. And some say hamburgers aren't that good. It's $26 plus tax plus tip for a friggin' burger. And this is a bistro. Well, that's not a fancy...
Red Hook is gentrified.
I know, man.
It's probably some bougie little,
But and so many restaurants are suffering, and so many restaurants are just have been clinging to takeout or the reserves or whatever, that you want to wish restaurants well. But I really hope people will find, even though the restaurant has the customer's interests at heart, the restaurant doesn't want its wait staff spreading coronavirus. But at this stage, the curve is lessening. The weather's going to be changing. People are getting the vaccine. People have had coronavirus and now are immune and have antibodies and things like that. You can't force someone, I don't think, to do... I mean, it's kind of... I guess if you go to work for... as a teacher or something, do you have to produce the fact that you were vaccinated as a child with all the usual stuff?
Yeah. It's like even when I go in skilled care, I have to show that I've had the flu shot. Otherwise, they won't,
Is that really true?
Yeah.
So you can really be forced?
I don't know. That I don't know.
I think we're going to see lots and lots, because this can't be the only time this will happen. If this waitress doesn't want to sue and to take it any further, some other waitress is going to be fired for the same reason, and so forth. But it's interesting. What would you do? I mean, what side? I'm asking my wife Joyce
They
here.
just came up with, so I get a lot of stuff from NIH, and NIH was looking to do more research about how the virus affects pregnant women. I mean,
Not NIH is the National Institute of Health, yeah?
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough one. I think getting the vaccine while pregnant is probably better than getting COVID while pregnant.
Oh, good
So
point. That's a very good point.
But is it ideal? I don't know. I mean,
yeah.
I don't know if anybody if they can force you. I didn't think they could because it was experimental still.
And people can say, well, it's a choice. She can also quit. I mean, it's not as if you get the vaccine and you go to prison. It's you get a vaccine or you stop getting a paycheck and leave our establishment and go on unemployment. So it isn't so much a blackmailing.
It's very hard for a woman who's pregnant to get another job.
I get the feeling, I'm getting the feeling that her husband works and that, this might be a sort of a part-time I'm hoping.
If she's working 2 shifts on Valentine's Day, it's not a part-time.
Well, yeah, and plus a baby on the way. Making more and more, working more and more to help with this baby, because she will be out of the workforce for at least 3, 4, or 5 months.
Well, maybe less.
Yeah. I don't know. I would love to know what you think. It's Dave's Gone By at AOL.com. Can you check if anybody's, if you want to post right now, we're on our Facebook page. Just type down who
you're watching and your website. No one's posting. It's quiet.
Well, if you feel like posting, I would love to know what the viewers of this show think. Which side is it? Who's right? Is it the waitress or the restaurant? And it's not even 100% yes or no question. That's the difficulty. It might be the waitress is 70% right, the restaurant 30% right. But let me know. Let me know how you're feeling about this whole situation of
You could do a poll on Facebook too,
I could, yeah, or on Zoom. They have Zoom polls, don't they? Yeah. Well, so, but that's the problem with this. It would have to be not just yes or no, but kind of yes, kind of no, kind of whatever. But speaking of things involving revenge, I'm kind of happy about this last particular piece that, Texas was brought to a standstill this week for several days because they had a snowstorm. Now, we have been having frickin' snow every week since like this. We got no snow in all of autumn, and then bam, just week after week after week, snow here, shoveling, pain in the ass, get the blowers out. They have one decent-sized storm in Texas with a bit of snow and ice, and the whole place shuts down. It's like in Atlanta or like Alabama when they have one of these freak storms in the winter. It goes down below 30 for a night, and the snow and it sort of freezes on the ground, and there's 5 million accidents, and all the power lines go down, and you think, that's a New York morning. In Atlanta, they're like, well, what's rock salt? Well, Texas must be like this too. I guess they're not used to this, which is fine, but they weren't ready for it. And Ted Cruz was on vacation, coming back from where was it, Bahamas or the Caicos, wherever he was.
Oh, they have a lot of pictures of him on the plane, and they're like, your constituents are suffering, and you're going to Cancun.
Yeah. It's like, now granted, he may have been on that trip for a week and not realized, big ass storm coming and have to deal with it. But I just love this idea that Republicans have hit Democrat-run cities over, like California is always having these problems with their grids and with energy and blackouts, and the Democrats can't do this and the Democrats can't do that. And then finally, Texas, the shining, independent, lone star state run by the GOP, right, with Texan values and stuff, they fall to pieces with a few snowflakes. They've got trouble with their regular energy, and it's fantastic because, of course, all the right-wingers are scrambling to say, well, the problem is that the windmills don't work. They put so much green energy in Texas that all the green things that they put in, they're turning brown and they're not working. I say, no, you weren't ready. Your grid wasn't ready.
Your tomatoes look like pumpkins.
Joyce is saying that tomatoes, they kind of do look like pumpkins, but not this one. That looks pineapple-y.
The green don't. They need the green, honey.
They do need a little bit more green. This is true. But anyway, I just think this is no matter what happens, Republicans are going to spin it one way, Democrats are going to spin it the other. But I'm feeling like, okay, Texas, shut your mouth about the wonders of oil and coal. If we got brilliant sunny snow and everybody had more solar energy in Texas, you probably would still have some hot running water and some lights working. I could be completely wrong. I don't know the science on this. I don't know. I don't really know anything about any of it. But I've got to say, it just felt so good. And yes, I feel bad. Wow, for 30 Texans who dropped dead. Because they froze to death or whatever else happened in the 4 days that the lights weren't on and such. But in some ways, it's kind of like, okay, now they'll shut up a little bit. Now they'll figure out, maybe a good and a better mix of sustainable, renewable energy plus our natural fuels and coal maybe not be my wonderful, Anyway, I want to remind you that this program is brought to you in part by the fine folks at Hewlett Minuteman Press, the copy kings of Broadway in Hewlett, Long Island. Minuteman, they do fine quality work. I've known them since really the 1970s when they took over the franchise in Hewlett, Long Island. And coming up in just a couple of minutes, we've got our guest, John Pielmeier. So P for Pielmeier, let's see what Hewlett Minuteman Press does when they take a P. Packing and shipping, pads, padding, I'm going to make it a little bigger, party invitations and accessories, pencils, pens, perforating.
David, why don't you show them the video on my phone of the elusive...
Oh, no, I can't. I'll do that later because we've got our guest waiting in the waiting room already. Personalized stationery, photo business cards, photo invitations, photo something, photos henpecked, photos pre-produced. Okay, they do that. Place cards, plastic business cards, plastic cups, playing cards, post-it notes, postcards, posters. This is getting harder rather than easier as I read these upside down and backwards. Purchase orders and, a whole bunch of things with the letter P that you can get at Hewlett Minuteman Press to help your business grow. And all businesses need some help nowadays. You need marketing, you need business cards, you need flyers, you need help with your design and your signage. Hewlett Minuteman Press can help you do that and a whole lot more. They're also known for their holiday cards, wedding invitations, bindery, silk screening, you name it, they do it. 516-569-5577, area code 516-569-5577. And if you tell them Dave sent you, you get 10% off any job, big or small. So give them a call. 516-569-5577, Hewlett Minuteman Press. They are the copy kings. Well, it is just about, it's 1 minute to 10 o'clock. We're very, very excited in the Daverhood because Rabbi Sol Solomon will be joining us momentarily to conduct an interview with screenwriter and playwright and actor John Pielmeier. Oh, I hear the rabbi davening in the hall. Time to bring him in. Let's pull up the rabbi's music as loud as possible. It would be good if I unplugged. And let's try that again. Let's hear it for the rabbi. bum. Oh, shalom, shalom, my friends, shalom. This is your old pal, Rabbi Sol Solomon, founder and spiritual leader of Temple Sons of Bitches in Great Neck, New York. And how delighted and thrilled I am to be talking to a longtime playwright and screenwriter and actor. Let me tell you some of the things this man has done. He wrote the TV movie Choices of the Heart. He wrote the play Voices in the Dark, which was an Edgar Award-winning mystery play. He wrote the Broadway shows The Boys of Winter and Sleight of Hand. He adapted The Exorcist into a play that was done in Los Angeles with Brooke Shields and Richard Chamberlain, no less. He has also acted. You can, it's not on YouTube, unfortunately, but at some point on public television, he played writer J.M. Barrie in a show called Courage. He also wrote the TV miniseries World Without End, and very important, debuting tonight on Lifetime Network is his latest TV writing screenplay show called Long Island Serial Killer, A Mother's Hunt for Justice. Doesn't that sound like fun? And most of all, and it pains me to say this because I am obviously Jewish, but his most famous thing, this is the man who wrote the play and the movie Agnes of God, all about, you should pardon the expression, nuns. So won't you please join me in the Daverhood in welcoming John Pielmeier. Shalom, John.
Shalom. Thank you, Rabbi. I'm so happy to be here.
Oh, good. Oh, good. I'm glad you're happy. I love that writer's nook. Now, that isn't a fake background on Zoom. That is your space. I see.
This is not a fake background. This is my space, right?
Someone's asking, did you make that boat?
No, I didn't. A good friend of mine made it. He, a man who is responsible for, was at one time responsible for the Christmas windows at Tiffany's and things like that. And he made that boat and gave it to me for my last birthday, or last Christmas, I think it was. Something. It's a boat that he put in the window of a library in New York City when he did when that library sponsored a premiere reading of my novel Hook's Tale. His construction of Hook's pirate ship.
So what is the connection with you and so obviously you're a Peter Pan fan. What is the connection?
Well, it's not so much. I mean, it started out as a Peter Pan thing, but I really hooked into Barrie when I saw a production of a play of his that is very seldom done called What Every Woman Knows. And this was many years ago, and I was just blown away by this play. It was a fabulous production, and I was in Louisville, Kentucky. It was an Actors Theater of Louisville, and I instantly went to the Louisville Library, and lo and behold, they had a collected works of J.M. Barrie, the plays, and I pulled that out, and I just read them one after the other, and just fell in love with all of these plays of his that I didn't know. And so, at the same time, right after that, I started reading a biography of him that came out, and just was so moved by his story. I said, I have to write a one-person show on this. So I contacted the Barrie estate and was able to get permission, and I wrote this play, which occasionally is done, and I still do myself on occasion.
Well, let me ask you, I mean, since we brought up the J.M. Barrie thing, when you mentioned J.M. Barrie, no matter what other plays he wrote, no matter what else he did, his autobiography, it's like, oh, J.M. Barrie, Peter Pan, J.M. Barrie, Peter Pan. With you, all the TV shows you've done, everything you've done, it's still gonna be, unless you write another huge Broadway hit, if Broadway comes back, it's gonna be, oh, John Pielmeier, Agnes of God, John Pielmeier. And how do you feel about that?
Well, at times, when in my earlier years, occasionally I would get a little irritated. I'd say, hey, wait, I've done more than that. I've written more than that. But now I sort of embrace it. I love it. It's fine. It launched my career in so many ways and gave me so many wonderful things. And why should I object to that?
Here's the question. I'm curious about that. Dave, the host of this program, the producer, yes, who allows me to do this. Dave, sorry?
Is he a nice guy?
Oh, asshole. But we won't. But he's been reading this old book by William Gibson, another playwright, the guy who wrote Miracle Worker. And he wrote a book about writing a play called Two for the Seesaw.
Right.
Right, the Seesaw Chronicle, Seesaw something. So this autobiographical memoir book that he wrote had to do with the simus that he went through of taking this nice play that he thought, oh, somebody likes it, somebody's going to put it on stage, and we'll do it. And it's just like, ay. So let me ask you, when you had Agnes of God, right, on Broadway first, and then turning it get into a movie, did you write the play and say, okay, somebody wants to produce this is fantastic, or suddenly it's like, oh, I've got to write for this star, I've got to cut this, the producers want this, the actress wants that? How did it go for you?
That was certainly in terms of Agnes and playwriting. I've had just wonderful experiences with actors, and there's I first of all, I'm a writer who loves to rewrite. I believe that writing is all about rewriting, and if anything, directors have to stop me from rewriting in rehearsal. They have to say, no, that's enough. You don't have to do anymore. I just love that. By the time Agnes got to Broadway, it had been done many, many times. It started at the Eugene O'Neill Playwrights Conference. There was an amateur production of it on the island of Jamaica, Kingston, Jamaica. There was the first professional production, which was at Actors Theater of Louisville. And then after that, there were 5 or 6 regional productions before it came to New York. So
Actually, when it was in Jamaica, was it Agnes of Jah? Did they? I don't know what that means. Well, all right. So you had a pretty fabulous time of it on Broadway, but now you had to bring this material to the screen. Did you have to lose stuff that you loved on stage?
No.
When you wrote the screenplay, did 5 other screenwriters get involved? Because that's what happens in Hollywood.
I was again blessed with having Norman Jewison as a director, and Norman was just terrific. And in one of our first meetings, anyone who knows the play knows that the play essentially takes place in an empty stage. There's no time period mentioned. There's no location mentioned. And obviously that isn't going to work for a movie. So the first challenge was, so where do we set it? What do we do about that? And Norman, who is Canadian, said, why don't we set it in Quebec? Because in Montreal, because he said, Montreal courtrooms actually have a crucifix on the wall behind the judge. And he said, that sort of is kind of fascinating in terms of this play, because it's sort of a legal drama as well as a religious piece.
Remind me not to get a parking ticket in Montreal. My God, I'm not going into that court. No way.
And exactly. And but the wonderful thing about Montreal is it's sort of this blend of 2 cultures. I mean, it has a very European feel to it, certain sections of it, and we love that about it. So as soon as Norman said, let's set it in Montreal, I said, fantastic, that's great. And that kind of gave me a way into writing the screenplay.
Now, do you have any stories, any anecdotes, positive or negative or wonderful or not, about working with not just Norman Jewison, but Jane Fonda, Anne Bancroft, Amanda Plummer?
Here's the amazing thing. Here's the fascinating thing. You just brought up 2 for the Seesaw Chronicles, because in it, William Gibson talks about, I believe this has happened, that Anne Bancroft did 2 for the Seesaw with Henry Fonda, and they did not get along. Fonda actually, I think, left the production early, and I don't know the reasons behind that. But when we started Agnes of God, we rehearsed in Los Angeles for 2 weeks. And Norman rehearsed it as if it were a play. And I was present on the first day of this rehearsal when Anne Bancroft met Jane Fonda for the first time. And I mean, obviously nothing was mentioned about 2 for the Seesaw, but it was fascinating to me that here are these 2 women with this Henry Fonda connection in between, meeting for the first time. And it was just wonderful. And of course, they worked beautifully together and got along so well. And that was wonderful for me, because Norman rehearsed this movie as if it were a play. We did 2 weeks of rehearsal in which the actors would come in and Norman would stage a scene. Obviously, the only difference in that staging for the movie was that there wasn't any audience point of view he had to worry about. He could move the camera anywhere. He would stage a scene, and the actors would come in the next day off book and rehearse it that way as if it were a play. It was so wonderful, and they were all so professional and so good at it. It was terrific.
And Amanda Plummer, she won a Tony for it. I think she just. I mean, it was just
brilliant.
So, but here you are. We're going back, I think, to the 1980s on this.
Right.
You've got this hit play, hit movie. So you figure, was there that moment in you, okay, this is what I'm going to do. Every year or two, I'm going to write a play. It may not be as big a hit as Agnes of God, but I'll get a play on Broadway with famous actors, and this will be my life. But then you don't always have. So how do you do? You know, you get through another opening night, and suddenly you realize not
Well,
this time.
yeah. I mean, I don't know if I didn't really project what that future was. I didn't know what my future was going to be. I was around the time of Agnes of God. I also started writing movies for television, which eventually turned out to be sort of my bread and butter in many ways. And there's some that I'm very, very proud of. But when Agnes, I was so kind of numb as a young writer. I was kind of lost. I didn't know what was going on. So I remember seeing the marquee of Agnes of God on Broadway for the first time with my name there. And I was astonished because I didn't really feel anything. I was so shut down. In subsequent Broadway productions, I've allowed myself to get really excited about seeing this thing. It's very exciting, but and I'm not quite sure why I was so, it was so kind of a surprising non-event to me that I think I was just terrified and astonished by it. Never thought this would happen in my life. So
Yeah. So when you had other shows like Boys of Winter and Sleight of Hand, what was the feel like the show would open? You kind of got a sense. First of all, do you read reviews? Or
I don't.
At what point
I do not read reviews.
ever, or even after the show's closed, never? Or
Never. Why should I? It's just the good reviews are never good enough. The bad reviews are simply painful. You don't learn anything from the reviews. It's difficult to learn. I spoke to I had worked at one time with Teller, a Penn and Teller, and he told me once that he said he doesn't read reviews either after Frank Rich gave a wonderful review to a show of his at a Penn and Teller show on Broadway, and Frank Rich raved about it, but Teller said he completely missed the entire point of the play. And he said, so after that, I decided not to read reviews anymore. Even though this was a rave, he didn't get it. So I thought, okay, that really helps give me permission not to do this, not to read these reviews.
So I vaguely remember David, the host of this program, telling me about Voices in the Dark. I think that was the last play that you had on Broadway, and that was it wasn't quite a flop. It wasn't quite a hit, I think. And Judith Ivey was in there, and it was so again when that opens, and this time you allowed yourself, I guess, to be excited.
I got excited about that. Yeah.
Do you assume that every time you have that opening night, and since we don't read reviews, you don't know that okay, it's going to be another 2-year.
It's a terrifying moment for me because I have never been a favorite of the critics, and
not even. I'm saying even keeping shows open and audiences buying box office and
yeah, but I have no control over that.
Right.
All I can do is write the play and hope that what gets up there is as good as it can possibly be at the time, and it's up to the producer and the publicist and other people to keep it running and keep it open, not me.
But the thing is, because of that, you can get to write more plays for Broadway. You concentrated essentially on TV. So on some of the Broadway lost you for like 2 decades or more, which is unfortunate. That's the one negative thing is so you had mentioned that there were a couple or several perhaps TV scripts, TV movies that you were particularly proud of.
Well, yeah. First of all, I want to say I know there's lots of bad stories about Hollywood, writers working in Hollywood, and Hollywood has been unbelievably kind and wonderful to me, much nicer to me than the New York than Broadway has in so many ways. And I've had just wonderful experiences through that. I guess my favorite adaptation piece that I wrote for television was the adaptation of Ken Follett's The Pillars of the Earth. which was an 8-hour miniseries that I wrote, and it was just a fabulous experience, pretty much from beginning to end. And I actually acted in it, and I'm still close to several of the actors who performed in it. It was a glorious experience.
Okay. So, and now you're talking in terms of the experience of doing the whole thing, and then see
Yes, right.
what other final product, what other, like if they were on Lifetime or Netflix or whatever, what other TV movies would you say that, oh, you should definitely make sure you, if you've never seen it, or see it again?
I think I wrote a movie called Sins of the Father that was premiered on FX many years ago. It was actually their first, I think it was their first television movie that did very well, and I got a Writers Guild nomination for it. And it's a piece that I'm especially proud of.
Well, stop right there, because that's a writer's question. What makes you prouder of one piece than you would be of another? You work just as hard. Sometimes you spend more hours on something that you work harder on, or less. What makes you prouder about certain things?
It's a combination of, first of all, feeling that the script is that the script itself that I created is a terrific script, the piece that I'm proud of. But it's also about the execution of it. That I feel that the director and the actors really kind of got it right, or made significant improvements to my script, which I'm humbly always happy to acknowledge. You know.
Did anybody screw it up real bad in a TV situation?
Oh yeah, sometimes I don't like to talk about those. You know,
You don't mention names, but what do they do? In other words, you don't have to be too specific. But I'm curious, like you thought something was good, and then you saw the thing, you say, oh, oi.
Well, yeah, there was a movie that I wrote that turns out, and I was not present on the set for this, so I just heard about this, that there was that whenever a movie is for television, at least, is about to be done, they have timers do it. They have people who are really good at reading a script and estimating about how much time a movie is going to run. And on television, you're very restricted on the amount of time that you have. And I wrote a pair of scripts that were shot back to back, thematically connected, and the timer timed the two of them together instead of individually, so that the first movie ended up unbelievably short. So they had to fill in with all of these rather boring shots of city shots, you know. Oh my God,
literally filler.
Slow. You know, I was so that, you know, there's an example of something. You know, oh boy. Okay.
Well, let me ask you also another writer's kind of question in terms of, do you appreciate, are you like sort of the Alan Ayckbourn type, where you love the fact that, let's say television, you have to have an 8-minute scene and then the commercial break, and then you know that there is these limitations, these obstacles, these structures to work around? Or do you prefer just blank page, blank canvas?
Well, you know, I like them both. You know, and theater is all about the blank canvas, and it has its own restrictions, which can be fun. I mean, I feel the laws, the restrictions is what make it fun and challenging, and things that I really respond to. And I love television because when I have an act structure, for example, the movie that's airing tonight, I had to write in 9 acts. So I'm very aware. I'm kind of writer who's very aware of act breaks when I write for television. Now, all the act breaks that I wrote are not necessarily the act breaks that you'll be seeing tonight, but have
you seen it?
Pardon?
Have you seen the finished film, or
I just saw it yesterday, actually, for the first time. So I was very pleased with it. So,
by the way, it's called, I should remind people, it's Long Island Serial Killer, A Mother's Hunt for Justice. And it's on the Lifetime Network at 8 o'clock Eastern Time. It will be debuting. And I assume on Lifetime, if you miss it tonight, over the next week or two, you'll still hopefully be able to get to see it. But it's true about, sometimes it's the thing you have to get around that forces you. How long did it take you, and how did you learn to write for the medium of television in a way that, oh, I know how to do this?
Well, my first project was a piece called Choices of the Heart, and which was a movie that was done on NBC about the 4 church women who were murdered in El Salvador in 19.
Oh, fun. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So again, we're dealing with nuns, but and I started writing this a year after these murders happened, so they were very immediate, and the focus was really on the one lay woman involved. And I was listening to her. She did a lot of recording of diaries of her time in El Salvador. So here I am sitting listening to her recordings just a little over a year after she had been murdered. And it took me a while to kind of write that script because I was kind of learning as I went along. But as time went on, I got so much better at doing things and sort of found the path that I could do. I mean, one script that I wrote for television, I was hired in January and was told that it had to be shooting in June. So I had about 2 months to get it done. So, and I was able to be an incredibly fast writer once I know what I'm doing. So.
And do you have a regimen? I mean, do you block out like 3 hours in the morning and then an hour later in the day for rewrites, and then you deal with other? Or
when I'm writing specifically on a project with a deadline, I'll get up and I'll start working in the morning, and I'll work as long as I feel I have to. If I don't have a deadline, I usually will do my writing in the morning, and again write until I feel the well is dry for the day.
what do you
It's all about rewriting to me. It's about going back the next day and rereading and reworking what I've done the day before, and the next day I go back and read and rework everything I've done up until that point. So
do you do the Pomodoro thing that so many people are doing, like 25 minutes and then stop for 5 minutes, or you just go and drink?
No, I just go. My body knows when it has to stop, or my brain, whatever.
Now, I don't want to put you on the spot, but could you read to us just a line or 2 or 3 or 4 from The Witch of Malakazoo?
Yeah, actually, I have it here on my wall. Wait. The Witch of Mal. I started writing plays when I was a child. I've never seen a play, but I just started writing these things. And The Witch of Malakazoo was based on, essentially, I read Charles Lamb's adaptation of The Winter's Tale, Shakespeare's Winter's Tale. And this kind of fired me up. And I still, to this day, appreciate Lamb's adaptation better than the original play. But it's very much of a fairy tale kind of thing. So I thought, I'm going to write a play like this. So I wrote a play called The Witch of Malakazoo, and it started out, it was a verse play initially. And I actually have here a page of my scribblings of my first page. I don't remember ever writing down anything other than this as a child. It starts out, I am the Witch of Malakazoo. I have a plan, a terrible plan, and this is what I'm going to do.
Well, there's the I Want song, if that was ever a musical.
That's it. Where is this? Well, there's a lot of things I don't know. One verse says, I've killed the king, as you have seen, and in his dungeon lies his queen. There are no heirs to the throne, so I shall rule. Yes, I alone. I mean,
how old were you? That's pretty damn. I'm not kidding. It's not only does it rhyme and not only does it have cadence, but you've set a scene. The exposition is there in like 4 lines. Here's who I am. This is what I want to do. This is what I've done. There's your backstory.
Thank you for pointing that out. I never realized that before. Thought about that before.
Man, when did you think that writing would not just be something you wanted to do hobby-wise or as a side thing, but I'm going to do this for real?
It was when Agnes of God was accepted at the by the O'Neill conference. I remember getting the call that day, thinking my life. I was an actor up to that point, and doing just fine as an actor. But when I got the call that day of that acceptance, I realized my life had suddenly taken a different path. It was like it was a fork in the road, and I thought I was going this way, but suddenly I realized, no, now I'm going down this path. I was very conscious of that moment.
And they did it there with Lloyd Richards doing the little speech and the whole.
Exactly. Yes, it was, and there was actually a trivia question on Jeopardy many years ago that involved that the actor who originally played Agnes of God at the O'Neill was Diane Wiest.
Oh my gosh! Now here's another, all these little internal interstices, actor and writer questions. It's sort of like, why not keep Diane, because she's a fine actress?
She was brilliant. Yeah, so, I don't really remember I think she wasn't available at the time. I don't really remember the reasoning behind that.
Because I wonder about that. There are shows. One of the things David's told me about the O'Neill Center and the Critics Institute and places there. So he's been there and he's seen it, and he always figures, well, the actors are there to get the play on its feet and to rework it, and the playwright is doing rewrites. But you figure the actor's like, if this goes somewhere and I'm good, next step is I'm going with it. And it's always kind of sad when the actor on Broadway doesn't get to do the thing in on the movies, and the actor in Oshkosh doesn't get to do it in Hartford or New Haven, and then the New Haven doesn't get to do it. I mean, that it's part of the game, I guess.
Yeah, it's always, it's hard and it's sad, and but that's I don't have, and as a writer, I certainly have a say of casting in New York on Broadway, but I have absolutely no say in television or film about how the casting. I mean, often people will run names by me and see what I think about them, but I have really no weight in that regard in terms of casting for film and television. In all of my writing for, I've had like 25 plus films done on television, and in those writing, there were only 2 instances where actors that I had in mind while I was writing the piece ended up playing those.
Do you remember who?
One. Yes. The first one was Nigel Hawthorne. I did an adaptation. I did a movie for National Geographic, their first television movie about the search for Stanley's search for Livingston in Africa. And when I was writing Livingston, I could only see Nigel Hawthorne playing, and he ended up doing it in.
But you didn't suggest it to anybody. You didn't say even, hey, Nigel Hawthorne would be good.
I don't think I did. I may have mentioned it, I'm sure, but but it was pure luck that they ended up with him.
And what was the other? You said there was another.
I'm trying to think of the other one. It sort of slips my mind. I did some Daniel Sunyata. I did a Patricia Cornwell adaptation of a couple of novels of hers, and when I was writing it, I thought this is the guy who should be playing those parts. So, and he ended up playing those on.
Now, here's an interesting thing. A lot of the things that you've done for TV, success begets success, and also in Hollywood and I guess the TV world, you do something, you get known for a niche. So if it involves psychos and killer nuns and
I do a lot,
killers of nuns, you're good with killers, nun killers, and people who kill them. So, but what is the furthest outside of what people would consider your wheelhouse to be? Of a script you've read? John Pielmeier wrote, you took that on?
Well, I write a lot of funny things that nobody thinks about. I have a number of short pieces in some that are published in a collection called Impassioned Embraces, and I've written some other things that are just short funny skits that are done a lot by students and colleges and
things
like that.
Let me also ask that I forgot to wiki how old you are, but however old you are, you look amazing. I mean, I would guess you're in your early 70s, maybe late 60s.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll be 72 in a few days.
Mit Mazel. with Mazel McGlick. This is 20, 30, if you were to look at who's writing for television, sitcoms and things like that, it's people who are Phoebe Waller-Bridge's age or younger. It's people coming out of Harvard and Yale and whatever, and they're 23, and they get lucky and they get to and they get an agent and they get a lot of people your age don't even get to do what you are still doing. How have you been? Because you must know tons of writers and former playwrights and screenwriters where the work just kind of dries up and the phone doesn't ring.
Sure. Ageism is a big problem in this business.
How have you skirted it? Just the right.
Well, sometimes I feel I haven't skirted it, but I just keep writing, no matter no matter what. I just I have to write. It's what keeps me going.
No, but you get assignments. I mean, there are times you'll work on a musical with Maggie Solomon or something. You do other things, but the work and the pay, the thing that pays for your breakfast cereal is your agent gives you, here's an assignment, do it, and that keeps coming at you, which is amazing thing.
To some degree. I mean, there have been dry years lately, but what can I do about that? So I just have to keep a positive outlook and keep looking for work when I'm looking for work.
And in a dry year, is that when you write a new play or you work on a musical or a cute
exactly,
or a novel or something?
The last few years I haven't written anything for television, but I was working on the adaptation of The Exorcist, for example, right. Which was, that's kept me going, kept me busy. It was done in London and hopefully will be coming into New York once this COVID situation is over.
Because Brooke Shields, I mean, people can laugh, but her reviews, I know you don't read reviews, but she got great reviews. So
brilliant. Brooke was absolutely brilliant. I remember in that first production, of which I've done a significant rewrite, but in that first production that Brooke was in, the director said to me one day, "We are so lucky to have her. She was just wonderful."
And so I'm assuming this would be a situation where they want to bring her with the show to New York.
I don't know. I mean, the script as it now exists is a completely different script. I actually threw out that script of The Exorcist after that production. I just felt it wasn't scary enough for people. So I threw it out and completely approached the story from a completely different point of view. So
how do you make something more scary?
Well, the script that was done in Los Angeles was a script that was really where Father Marin, who was the old priest who comes in, the actual exorcist, it was sort of told in a way from his point of view. He was and it was a very somewhat intellectual script. The concept was, okay, what is really frightening here is not so much special effects, but just the concept of losing control of yourself, of being taken over by all of that sort of stuff. And it just didn't, some people loved it and a lot of people did not. And they wanted to be more scared. So I sort of threw that out and I wrote a script where Reagan, the little girl, is now really the center of the piece. And this was all with great support from William Peter Blatty, who wrote the original novel. I adapted the novel, not the movie, but he did the screenplay also for the movie. So
didn't he die recently? I think he
died about 2 years ago. Yes.
Okay, all right. So so this is already going back a bit, and from the producers who have an eye on it, presumably when things open up again. So do you prefer starting from scratch on something? Even if it's a TV movie about, or just the Exorcist, I've got to read this book by somebody else and adapt it. Or do you?
I love it. It varies. I love adaptations. I'm really good at adaptations. I've done a lot of, I think, very successful adaptations for television. The Exorcist is the first adaptation I've done for the stage. But I really enjoy, if I respond to a piece of material, I really have a good time playing around with that. That's fun. But I also like projects that kind of come out of me. I get it, if I get excited, if I get an idea, get excited about that. It's a wonderful experience to come and start writing something that you don't know quite where it's going, and where it's going to end up. I wrote a novel a few years ago that was published called Hook's Tale, about which was essentially Captain Hook's story, his version of the Peter Pan story, and that just came to me just so, it just burst out of me, and I wrote this novel in 5 weeks, and I just sat and wrote every day. It was a fabulous creative experience, you know.
Well, and it was automatic audience, because everybody knows if you want to grab an audience, you always need a hook. But sorry, I apologize terribly for that. You were up until the pandemic also getting back into being a performer, an actor.
Yes, right. I started out as an actor, and then I stopped for a long time, occasionally doing little things here and there, and then I started. I said, "Oh, I want to do this again," so I put myself out there and started acting again.
Does it give you a special perspective, having written so much for actors, that when you get back on stage, do you have a certain special feeling for the writer or the screenwriter, the playwright, or whatever you're performing in?
Well, I sort of have different hats. I feel I have my actor hat and I have my playwriting hat, and I try to keep them very, very separate. The play that I did, I last did, was a new play by a wonderful playwright named Deborah Brevoort, about Marian Anderson and Albert Einstein and their relationship. I played Einstein, and I totally left my playwright hat at home while I was doing that. So I was just enjoying working on this new play as an actor. And it turned out very well. It was a really wonderful experience.
So let me ask you, we've all been dealing for the past 11 months with no theater, no restaurant, no nothing. How has the pandemic been for you?
Well, in many ways, it hasn't changed a lot for me, because this is my office. This is where I go every day to work. It certainly has affected me in terms of not going out to see theater. I have
New York, or where are you? I mean, you don't have to tell me the exact address, but are you in or near Manhattan, or what?
Yes, I live upstate. I live in Garrison, New York, which is very close. It's an hour plus into Manhattan. So I would, it was an easy train ride or an easy drive into Manhattan to see a play if I want to see a play. Wow. And interestingly enough, I was in rehearsal for my a new play, an adaptation of my novel Hook's Tale, called Hook's Tale, that was being produced at a theater called Stages in Houston, Texas. God help them. And
well, so God has to, yes.
Yeah. We were 5 days into rehearsal when we were told we all had to go home last March. So that is still going to be happening in Houston whenever things get back in their feet again. But the 5 days were terrific, because it was 5 days of table work. We were just sitting around. It's a 2-actor play. So it was me and the director and the 2 actors. And we were just reading through the play and working. I was doing a lot of rewrites. And after 5 days, we were ready to get up on our feet and start staging the play. And that's when we were sent home. But we ended up with a lovely new script out of these 5 days rehearsal. So when the pandemic's over, we'll go back in rehearsal and go forward.
Now, let me ask, not to get, but a little bit, we love the personal life. You've been married or are married?
Yes, I've been married. We've been together since 1977.
Mazel McGlick. Oh, that's so good. Congratulations. That's sort of a congratulations. How did you meet your wife?
We met several times, again and again and again, but by extraordinary coincidences, we were both actors at the Guthrie Theater, and that's when we sort of got to know each other. We had met before then, but we got to know each other then, and we moved to New York City within a month of each other, and then within 6 months we were together.
And did she stay an actress, or did she go?
She's not an actress. She's actually now a writer. She just has had several books published. She had a play done with Judith Ivey.
Wow.
called Women on
mention her
Fire.
name? Or can we say the name
Her name is Irene O'Garden.
Irene O'Garden?
O'Garden. O''Garden. She had a play. She wrote Women on Fire that was done at the Cherry Lane very successfully with Judith Ivey. She had several books published. She just had a book published this last May in the pandemic that is doing incredibly well, called Glad to Be Human, a collection of her essays. She had a memoir published the year before that called Risking the Rapids, about her growing up and
Risking the Rapids had nice flow to it.
Yes, right, it does. And she took a white water rapid trip with family members. So it's a sort of jumping from the story of this white water trip, intercut with her growing up with these same family members who were on the trip with her. So
let me ask you, since you're both writers in the family, are you each other's first pair of eyes, or do you kind of leave each other alone? And
we are first pairs of eyes, but we don't look at each other's works until they're done. You know, if I don't show her a play, for example, as I'm writing it, I don't only show it to her when I feel that I've completed a first draft. I don't show her scene by scene. And that's the thing with her. When she's done with the book, she'll give it to me to read.
Or she won't show you chapter by chapter. She'll wait until, and you'll wait until, and then you're usually the first to see this.
Yes.
Are you able to be critical or really?
Oh, definitely, absolutely.
Really, yeah.
I've written things that she has definitely not liked. So, yeah, but you know,
that's an interesting dinner conversation.
Nice about it.
Thank you for your honesty, honey. This is a good steak right here. Yeah. And do you have youngins? Do you have?
We are childless by choice.
That's fine and fantastic, and it allowed you the chance to be a writer, because otherwise, all these both
exactly.
Diapers and misery, which is. I have 21 and a half children.
Children? Wow. How's the half doing?
Half is not doing well. We're waiting to take the right shape at some point. It's too much inbreeding, but this is what we do, It's my culture. So let me ask. We have a moment or two, but first of all, I would like to, by the way, invite you, John Pielmeier, if you have a little more time, if you want to stay on. Dave is coming back to this program to do the yesterday trivia quiz. And it's not just theater, it's history trivia that you will get to play against, oh my God, I know you hate them, a couple of theater critics. But they're very nice, funny people, usually, and they won't say...
I'm terrible at these things like that. Sure, I'll stick around. But
yay! So in that case, because you're so nice to do that, I'm going to remind people one more time that tonight on Lifetime Television, wherever that is on your cable box or on your computer screen, please watch The Long Island Serial Killer, A Mother's Hunt for Justice, written by our guest in the Daverhood, John Pielmeier. I also want to direct people, because I love your website.
Thank you.
It isn't just, here's a list of his plays, here's a little bio, boom. I love it. You talk about all your works. You have a little paragraph or two.
Yes.
About so many of the plays and screenplays and the things you've done and acted in and written, and you have historical photographs of you, if you will, of appearing in plays, and you did in Our Town at one point with, who was it somewhere you were? Judith Light. It was a college almost, or
it was my first. That was my first professional acting job out of school. It was at Milwaukee Rep.
What was your favorite performance as an actor that you did?
For me, that I did?
Yeah.
A combination. Let's see. Boy, I did I played Cousin Lyman in a production of this Ballad of the Sad Cafe at Actors Theater of Louisville. That was an extraordinary production. I played Billy the Kid in that
Michael Ondaatje.
Yes.
Selected
works of Billy the Kid at the Guthrie, and those were extraordinary experiences. But I played the boy in Welcome to Andromeda, which is a long one-act play about a quadriplegic and his nurse.
You get all the fun roles, let me tell you.
So, yeah.
Well, Unfortunately, Rabbi Sol Solomon, I have to go back to my congregation. They've been waiting for me this 45 minutes because I tell them every Saturday, just wait, just read the Bible a little bit. I'll come back. You know, they're going to be a
You
sermon.
give them specific passages to read?
No, I just hand them back in the Daily News. I just pick one and read it for a while. I'll come back. But it has been an absolute delight and a joy for me to be chatting with John Pielmeier. I want to let people know your website is johnpielmeier.com. I'm going to spell it. John, Pielmeier. Can there be any more E's in your damn name?
I'm always astonished that a crossword puzzle person has not put my name in a crossword puzzle just because they love vowels.
Yeah. Oh, well, please, I had a vowel movement this morning. It was wonderful. Sorry, I don't even know what that means. I'm going to play a little music while I bring Dave back from the green room.
Okay.
To continue the rest of this program.
I'm going to take a quick break and I'll be back.
Oh, fantastic. So there's going to be nobody go away, but you come back. All the people who are watching, go read the Bible a little bit. In a minute, Dave will be back in the Daverhood, and so will John Pielmeier.
Thank you, Rabbi. Lovely talking to you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. And folks, I will be back with you probably next week, but Dave will be here momentarily.
Hello.
That's kind of the rabbi's dance away music, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Dave Lefkowitz. You are watching the 786th episode of the Dave's Gone by Facebookio, Podcastio, Programmio of the stream. We're calling this one Mass Appeal for in honor of our wonderful guest, John Pielmeier, who just talked to Rabbi Sol for a bit, but is going to be playing the Today, Yesterday quiz opposite this other person that you see right by, well, he's on the bottom of my screen. I'm not sure where he's showing in yours, but let me make an introduction. John Pielmeier, please say hi to our longtime great friend of the Daverhood, theater critic, David Sheward. Say hi, guys.
Hi.
David.
Waving hello.
Good morning.
David is the well, he's the former president of the Drama Desk. He also writes for TheaterLife.com, CulturalWeekly.com, and his blog, which is The David Desk. The David Desk. So his writing's not just about theater, but about culture and society that's been going on. So let me ask you, Dave, are you frozen? Or are you just thinking about something? Oh, now you're back. So
No,
Dave,
I'm here.
we're waiting for Leslie Hoban Blake, who will be our other. She said she would be taking part, but Leslie being Leslie, she might be a minute or 2 or 5 late. Well, we'll hold off as much as we can.
I see a text. Is that from you or from her?
Is what from me?
I see a text. Is that from Leslie or from you? It says.
What is she saying?
It says waiting. I don't know if it's you or her.
Oh, that's her.
Okay.
She's been waiting. So if she's trying to log on, she has some issues trying to log on. So while she's doing that, first of all, David, not to put you on the spot, but do you have any questions you've always wanted to ask John Pielmeier, the playwright, the guy who wrote Voices in the Dark and Agnes of God and other plays and screenplays? Come on, we're waiting.
How did you feel about the film version of Agnes of God?
I was very pleased with it for the most part. I felt that where we failed in the film script was finding a suitable way to turn the monologues that were in the play, the psychiatrist monologues, into effective scenes in the movie. And I feel mostly the last minute or 2 of the movie doesn't really work, which is too bad. I think that's where the movie, for me, falls down, is the very last few moments of the film. But I think the performances are just lovely.
Yeah, the play was one of the first as I recall, it was one of the first ones I ever saw in New York when I first moved here.
Hmm.
And I went to a Wednesday matinee, and Amanda Plummer was out sick, so Mia Dillon did her role.
Oh, yes. Yes.
And
Maya did it for about 2 weeks. I think Amanda was actually on her vacation or something, or was doing a New Year's thing. And Maya came in 2 weeks and did the original professional production of it at Actors Theatre of Louisville. She played Agnes there.
Yeah, I think it was, I forget, I think it was a matinee, and it was very electric. Parts of it were quite exciting.
Yeah.
And I think it was at the Music Box, wasn't it?
It was at the Music Box, yes.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah, David's good at this. Sort of, he has that kind of memory. He teaches history and English, right, or just history to high school at these.
I teach English in high school because I can't make a living as a theater critic.
Good ever. So here's the deal, folks.
The numbers dwindling.
We're kind of waiting for Leslie, but I'm not going to wait, because we have a special guest here. So I'm going to read the rules. What does Leslie say?
She says, keep trying.
No, I wrote that to her. She's saying she's waiting to get in. I said, keep trying. But I can certainly tell you the rules of the game because John Pielmeier hasn't heard them. So here's the deal. It's pretty simple. It's a trivia quiz. There are 9 questions and a tiebreaker if necessary. Each question is worth 2 points to the person who can try to answer it. If you get the question wrong, no penalty. So feel free to guess or guess wrong. But another contestant gets the chance to steal the question. So if you get it wrong, the other person does get to try and get it right for 2 points. So, and the idea of the game is that it's kind of a trivia quiz where every single event happened on this date in history. So every question has to do with something that occurred on February 20th, whether it was 100 years ago, 500 years ago, or 50 or 10 years ago. Cool?
Okay.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start. I'm going to figure out who among of either of you gets to go first or choose to go first. So, John, do you mind if I call you John?
No, please do.
Oh, wait. Oh, hold on. Sorry, I just had a really happy moment. We're going to say hi to...
That's rather personal.
We all have happy moments like that.
As Whoopi Goldberg said at the Oscars, just clean up when you're done.
Oh, that's nice. Leslie, are you with us? Are you there? It's worth waiting for, I promise you guys. She's a nice lady. Leslie? Yeah. Leslie, can you hear me? Okay, yes. We'll give it another moment, and then we'll quickly get into the game as best we can.
Tell me about the swan.
Oh, well, usually we have these little totems or little animals as mascots to help during the game.
I have a bear. What's going? I can't get in.
Well, Leslie, we hear you. We cannot see you.
There you are.
See you as well.
And this
Hi. There I am. Hello.
Hello.
Good morning.
Good
Can
morning.
you hear me?
We can hear you. You're frozen
Yeah.
Visually, but we can hear you. Oh boy, now you're frozen, I believe. All right.
Oh, she's moving.
Hello. I am frozen. No, now I'm not frozen. I was showing my little bear. Where am I? I was showing my little bear. You were showing how you're frozen.
I'm frozen.
No, I'm not frozen. You're all frozen.
No, You're frozen. I'm not frozen.
Good
you're
morning.
For us.
Okay.
It's just me and my bear.
There's a guy in here who's written multi-million-dollar television movies, and he's coping with this guy can't put this together. It's like, oh, Leslie, there you are.
I need an animal of some sort, right?
If you have...
Introduce us, please. Hello, introduce us.
Well, hi, Leslie.
Hi, Leslie.
The person that
Hi, I'm Leslie. Who is this?
The guest in the Daverhood is John Pielmeier, the author of Agnes of God and Voices in the Dark and Boys well, off the top of my head, I lost it. Boys of Winter, excuse me, as well as numerous television movies, including one, and now everybody's frozen. Oh, now you're back. Including a Lifetime television movie that's happening tonight about Long Island serial murderer. What was it? Long Island serial killer, A Mother's Hunt for Justice, that debuts tonight on Lifetime. So I know you guys are going to watch that. So Leslie, I'm not going to. I'm sorry.
I just said the word exciting. That's exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. It's premiering tonight on Lifetime Network. So we're going to start the game, Leslie, because we've been waiting. So we're going to start it up. Can you, John Pielmeier, I'm going to ask you kindly to pick a number between 1 and 6.
Am I going first to pick?
I'm asking John.
No, the guest is first.
Do I pick?
No, I'm asking John Pielmeier.
It's going in and out, David. I can barely make out what's going on.
All right. So, I don't know, Leslie, we're having.
Oh, of course. I know. John, I know your name. I did not know your face. Of course. Hello. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning anyway, but yes, I know your name.
So, John, are you able to hear me? Are you able to, because everybody's sort of dipping and freezing and oh boy.
I can hear you. You're a little frozen. Now you're not.
Great.
So I'm to pick a number between 1 and 6.
Please, yes.
Do I say it aloud?
Oh, yes, please. Yes.
3.
I'm going to be right back. I'm going to get my earphones. That may help.
So John is 3.
I can't hear a damn thing.
Well, Leslie, before you, can you just pick a number between 1 and 6, please? Les, all right.
I'll pick 2. David.
I got
2.
Very good. Okay. And David Sheward, kindly pick between 1 and 6.
All right, so John, what was John's number?
John's number was 3.
And Leslie's was 2.
Correct.
All right, so I'll pick 4.
4. Okay, David Sheward picks the number 4. Now I get to the roll. I thought this was going to save so much time. We're going to roll a die, and the number comes up 5, which is closest to David's number. So, David Sheward, you choose. Would you like to go first, second, or third? You're frozen.
I'll go first.
You go first. Okay, David Sheward gets to go first.
First.
Okay, I'm going to roll the die again. Here we go. Oh, now my internet connection is unstable, so I apologize for that. Let's try this. It came up number 2. So Leslie, do you prefer to go second or third?
I prefer to go second, thank you.
You betcha. And
second,
then,
2.
Even though he's our guest, I'm afraid that John, you are going third. Okay.
That's totally fine.
It's just the questions are pre-written. It makes it more random as to who gets what question. So We're ready to begin. I apologize for taking so long with this, but it's the pandemic. It's technical. It is what it is. So the first question, and these again are all events that happened on February 20th in history. David Sheward.
Okay.
Question is for you, and we go back to a year I know you remember well, 1280 AD.
Oh, yes, I do remember quite well.
The Japanese imperial court orders all temples and shrines to pray for victory because they were about to be invaded for a second time by this guy, the leader of the Yuan dynasty. Name him.
12, what was the 12?
I'll read it again. The year was 1280. The Japanese imperial court orders all temples and shrines to pray for victory because they were about to be invaded for a second time by this guy, the leader of the Yuan dynasty.
Well, this is a period of history which I'm not, not an expert on, and the only 2 names that come to mind are Genghis Khan or Attila the Hun, and I have no idea when they were around. So I'm just going to guess and say Attila the Hun.
No, I didn't hear it. I didn't hear you.
At least with my answer.
Did you say
Attila the Hun?
Oh, okay.
Attila the Hun.
Final answer, Attila the Hun. Well, darling, sweetheart, Hun, I'm afraid that is the wrong answer. So we're going to do a die to see who might get to steal this question. Let's roll it. And the number comes up on the die, number 4. Well, that's David's number initially, but it is closest to John's. So John Pielmeier, you get to try and steal this question. Do you need me to read it again?
Sure. I know the answer.
Oh.
It's Jackie Chan. Right? Right?
Well,
older than he looks.
I don't know if you want to go with that. You could.
There's no penalty with going with that, right?
No penalty.
And I could win 2 points.
You could if the answer were Jackie Chan, and you came up with that answer top. So, get it? That's a little Jackie Chan.
Oh, Mr. Peabody.
I know. So are you going to go with that?
I'm trying to think of any other Chinese emperors that I know.
David, is this interference?
Is what? We can hear you, Les. Les,
I acted in a production of
I just want to know if the interference is because of snow or something.
How do I know?
Maybe.
It might well be. I mean, because we usually don't have this level of freezing and chopping and whatever. So, but
the emperor that Marco Polo came in contact with, or was many years later? That was in the 1400s.
Yeah. I'm not allowed to give hints or to. So yeah.
So some sort of external, because it's driving me nuts here.
I know. I'm wondering if we just do audio on you, Les, would that be? I would hate to lose your video, but I'm wondering, is your audio clear, or is that freezing as well?
That's okay. David just went also.
No, I'm
not having as much of a problem with.
You want to try that? See if it's better. David's back. Okay.
Yeah, okay. Well, stick around, David. Let's see.
Yeah, I was just making sure.
Anyway, John.
Because you're freezing and I can't understand what you're saying, and it's making me nuts. But you can hear me, okay? You can hear me all right.
You come in and out, Leslie. Sometimes we do, and sometimes we don't. So
frozen.
Yeah, you're frozen now. John, what answer?
So you want me to turn off my
I don't know the
video?
Yeah,
I'll turn off my video.
Try turn off the video, please.
You can also mute.
Yeah, I
don't know the name.
Not turning off.
Yeah.
I don't know the name of the emperor, but I was in a production of the Chinese Wall many years ago, and that emperor is my guess. I don't know who.
John, did you get the right answer?
The emperor with the Chinese Wall guy, that really doesn't count as an answer.
That can't count?
Then
I'll go with Jackie Chan.
Jackie Chan. Okay, Leslie, if you can hear me, if you're okay. John did not get the right answer. David did not get the right answer. Do you want to try and give an answer that we might be able to hear?
Oh, shit. I just dropped my coffee again. All right, this is not a good day. This is a very bad day.
Yeah.
It's not funny. I have coffee all over the floor. I'm going to get up and kill myself. Okay. I mean, when I get up, I will slide and kill myself.
All right, let's just... So it would be...
12 something or other?
1280 was the year. The Japanese Imperial Court orders all temples...
Just give me the question, please.
Give me the question because
part of it.
They were about to be invaded for a second time by this guy, the leader of the Yuan dynasty. Can you name him? After you shoot yourself, Leslie, can you shoot?
I think David was on the right track. I think it was Khan, but I think it was Kublai Khan. I don't think it was Genghis Khan. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Is that your final answer, though?
Do you want me to write it down and hold it up to the camera?
Maybe, but if we might get to that point. But I heard you. What you said, Kublai Khan. Is that your final answer?
Yes.
I said Kublai Khan, not Genghis Khan.
I know. Is that your final answer? Is Kublai Khan?
Okay.
Yes, you're right.
Earlier.
Jesus Christ. Yay. Well done. So that was a very good con job, Leslie Hoban Blake. Leslie.
That was right?
Yes,
Oh,
correct. Okay. Let's
Well,
just,
it makes up for last week. At least I don't have a goose egg this week.
yeah, there you go. Well, Leslie is leading the game. All right, Leslie, you also get our second question because you go second. So, are you ready for? Well, just answer it. The year is 1670.
Yeah, as much as I'm gonna be. Yes, yes. All I'm thinking of is coffee on the floor. Go ahead.
1673 is the year.
No coffee. It's all good.
1673, taking place in London.
No, I can't hear you.
You can't. Oh, sorry, Les. I'm
Say it again.
okay. One more
Didn't
time.
hear a thing.
I'm sorry. In 1673, taking place in London today is an auction, notable for being the first ever auction of what? This is a multiple choice. Was it wine, slaves, Egyptian mummies?
Dave, I'm just gonna have to disqualify myself.
Okay.
I can't. I heard something about London today, but I don't know when.
Hang on. All right. And we, Leslie, I
Let
appreciate.
me just say goodbye.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Leslie. Thank you so much for being.
Leaving a winner at the moment.
I'm sorry,
you know.
Pielmeier. It would have
Yeah.
been to get to talk to or be with you.
Yeah.
This is crazy.
Clean the coffee stain.
I'm going.
Hopefully we'll see you next week.
This is amazing.
Thank
Give
you.
me the question one more time, Dave. Dave, give me the question one
All right, one more time.
time.
1673 is the year. Taking place in London today is an auction, notable for being the first ever auction of what? A, wine.
Nothing. Okay. Bye. Sorry.
I just read the question. Well, let me.
David, I'm going to come back on my telephone.
Okay.
Come
Good
back
idea.
on my phone.
Okay. Yeah. Call in.
I'm going to come back on my phone.
Yeah. Actually, that's great. Do it. So I want to remind everybody that Dave's Gone By, amazingly enough, has been on the air for more than 18
I'm
years.
going to leave this and go back on my phone.
Yes, please do. Please do now. Yes? Okay. I'm just gonna, yeah. Leslie, no offense.
Got it.
You? Okay. Well, that was Leslie's question. I'll read it to you guys so you can come up with an answer in case you get the steal.
Okay.
Taking place in London today is an auction notable for being the first ever auction of what? Was it A, wine, B, slaves, C, Egyptian mummies, or D, tobacco? Okay, so those are the choices. It was one of those. Was it wine, slaves, Egyptian mummies, or tobacco?
Wine, slaves, Egyptian mummies, tobacco. Okay.
Good Lord, what was that?
What?
it's all
That
just
wasn't from Leslie's.
And she's supposed to be mute. I muted her. I don't even know why we heard that. Oh, so I'm going to admit her on this.
I can't get out.
Hold on.
Oh, there. Okay.
She's going to join us in a
Oh,
different.
now she's coming in on the phone.
On the telephone. Yes. Okay.
Okay. That's the only way I can do it.
All right, fine, fabulous. Welcome back, Leslie. Leslie Hoban Blake in the Daverhood. By the way, you can watch her and Charlie Gross on the Oh, I think I'm going to feed back now, but can you turn your audio down? Is there a play in it, John?
There we go.
Again, John, yes. I know who John is. I'm very impressed.
No, she
Okay.
got rid of the other thing. She got rid of the other feed.
Hello.
Hi, Leslie. We're doing a game
Hi.
here.
I missed my turn, didn't I?
No. We waited for you.
Yeah.
We
Oh, you're very sweet. Thank you. I couldn't
Well,
hear
much
a
better.
thing.
Much better. Okay,
This is
Leslie, are
much
you ready
better.
for here's the question. The year was 1673. There was an auction in London today, notable for being the first ever auction of what? Was it wine, slaves, Egyptian mummies, or tobacco?
Year again was?
Was wine?
No, what was
slave-
the year?
What?
What was the
1680.
year?
1673.
73.
Okay.
First auction was it of A, wine, B, slaves, C, Egyptian mummies, or D, tobacco?
Ah, wow.
Mm.
I would say tobacco.
Is that your final answer?
Well, it's between slaves and tobacco, and I don't know the answer, so I'm going to say tobacco.
Well, I'm afraid you are not smoking, Leslie. That is not the correct answer. So we get a chance for one of our other two contestants to steal. We hit a number 2, which is Leslie's direct number, and it's also directly between the other two. So I've got to roll again. This time we hit a 1, which is closer to John's 3, because remember, John, you picked number 3 early in the game. So you get to answer this question in 1673.
Wine, slaves, mummies, right?
Wine, slaves, Egyptian mummies.
I'll go with the wine.
Is that your final answer?
That's my final answer.
Well, sir, you are drunk with success. It is, in fact, the correct answer. It was the first auction of wine. It took place in London back in 1673 on February 20th. Well done.
What was the year? 1672? The Bible?
You were there. You remember.
Or maybe even 1673.
Well, the idea was that wine that old already, they knew that certain vintages were good. I don't know. I guess that was cool. And John, you should feel very proud, because we have had guests on this show who got no points, who had no luck in this game, and you are already on the board, which is a lot better than a lot of our first-timers do. Not only that, you're tied with Leslie for first place. You each have 2 points, and you get the next question, so you can take the lead if you get this right. So here we go. And Leslie, you look great. That you should do this every week. This is much better.
I look better on the phone. Huh? Okay, thank you.
Anywho, 1816 was the year. John Pielmeier, 1816, premiering tonight in Italy is this opera, which features such supporting characters as Dr. Bartolo, Basilio, and Count Almaviva. Name that opera.
The Duchess of Malfi. An adaptation of the Duchess of Malfi.
Is that your final answer?
That's my final answer.
I'm afraid you've gotten yourself in Dutch, my friend. That is not the correct answer. So one of our other contestants, David or Leslie, gets to steal. Roll the friggin' thing. There we go. And the steal comes to the number 5, which is closer to David Sheward. So David Sheward, I will read the question again. You get to steal for potentially 2 points. Premiering 1816 tonight in Italy is this opera, which features such supporting characters as Dr. Bartolo, Basilio, and Count Almaviva. Name that opera.
I believe it is The Barber of Seville.
Is that your final answer?
Yes.
Well, you won that one by a hair. Yes, indeed. David Sheward, that is correct. It was Rossini's The Barber of Seville. Oh, is it?
John Pielmeier, I must tell you that The Duchess of Malfi is one of my very favorite pre-Shakespearean plays.
There's some gorgeous verse in it. And there's actually a character named Dr. Bartolf, I think, in it, which is why I went to that with that answer.
I chose The Barber because I was in a long time ago, I acted in the play version of The Barber of Seville by Beaumarchais. And I played Don.
Who did you play, Dave?
I played Don Bazile.
Cool. Oh, so you would have.
Who was the girl's music teacher.
Yeah. Of course, Figaro is in there too. I didn't want to mention him because then
the naughty music teacher.
Yes, and one couple actually came to the play and said, "Well, who's singing tonight?" And we said, "Well, we're not doing the opera. We're doing the play."
That happened to me. I was once reading James Joyce's The Dead, and people were saying, "Where's the music?" Because they saw the James Lapine musical in it. No, I'm just kidding. Anywho, that was terrible. But what's wonderful is that we have a 3-way tie. This is really exciting. Round 1, we've made it through round 1, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah. And each person has 2 points. We now get to round 2. David begins round 2 with the first question here, and we move all the way up to 1872. Okay. 104. I'm sorry?
Practically yesterday.
Well, 149 years ago today, the Metropolitan Museum of Art opened its doors to the public. Among Leslie, are you
I'm a little frightened at the moment.
I'm sorry. I thought if I turned the phone, I wouldn't. God.
Okay. Okay,
Don't
so the
pay any attention to
Metropolitan
me, guys.
Museum
Go ahead.
open today.
Play your game.
Go ahead.
The Metropolitan Museum of Art opens its doors to the public today.
Yeah.
Among the
That's why we
attendees
defy gravity.
was
Yeah.
a budding novelist who called the museum, quote, the charming little academy in the Fifth Avenue. Name that writer whose first novel was Watch and Ward, published the year before, and whose last was The Outcry.
Watch.
I'll read it again. So, to writing about the opening of Metropolitan Museum of Art 149 years ago today, in 1872, was this budding novelist who called the museum the charming little academy in Fifth Avenue. Name that writer whose first novel was Watch and Ward, published just the year before, and whose last novel was Outcry.
Watch and Ward, and the last novel was Outcry.
What a good question.
All right, well, it's not Nathaniel Hawthorne, and I don't care if I give it away. I'll think aloud. Let's see, 1879?
1872.
And so this, and I'm assuming it could be a woman. It could be a woman. Maybe that it was. Could it be Louisa May Alcott? I'm trying to figure out the dates here. It could be Louisa May Alcott because she was a girl during the Civil War, and she went in Little Women. Her heroine goes to New York. So I'm going to guess and say Louisa May Alcott.
Final answer?
Yes.
I'm afraid Alcott is all wrong. No, that is not the correct answer. So we get a steal opportunity for John Pielmeier or Leslie Hoban Blake. Let's see who. We come up with the number 3, which means John Pielmeier can try and steal this question. Let me know if you want me to read it again.
No, you don't need to read it again. I mean, my guess would be William Dean Howells, but that's probably wrong.
We will. I mean,
I see by your expression that is a wrong answer.
John, you're not
that's not my final answer.
I thought I was.
Let's see. Who else was writing back then? Edith Wharton. That's not her. She didn't write those books. Mark Twain. No, it's not his. Oh man. Was it? No, you said budding novelist, right?
Correct. Yes.
Okay. It wasn't Willa Cather. I pass on this. I don't know.
Well,
so William Dean Howells.
We're gonna go with William Dean Howells. Well,
totally wrong.
I'm afraid, we didn't know how well you'll do on that. Not well was the answer. I'm sorry. So, Leslie Hoban Blake, I do believe that this is now yours to steal.
There's so many names that have been thrown around, but the name that I'm thinking of hasn't been mentioned. So, I'm just afraid that it's the wrong time period. Who was a reviewer in 1872 is what we need to remember. Not just who was a novelist, but who was actually a journalist and reviewing. And the only person that comes to mind, but the year is wrong, I think, is Jack London. But I think he was later. But I don't have.
Can I give you?
If it was a woman, if it was a woman, it would have been Nellie Bly. If it was a woman, it would have been Nellie Bly, I think. But she wasn't a novelist, so.
And John, you were going to say?
What? John, what were you
Here's a hint. What about Henry James?
I don't think he ever wrote anything called The Outcry.
Yeah, I didn't recognize any of those titles by anybody. So
I'm going to stick with Jack London, wrong though it may be. I will not second guess my first guess.
Okay. Well, Leslie, I'm afraid your London Bridge has fallen down because that is not the correct answer. And guess what? John, You're right. It was Henry
Henry
James.
James.
Oh, he gave
Can
me.
I get 1 point for that?
I'm sorry, man. No, it doesn't work
That
like that.
sounds like it does sound like something James would say. That it's a
Plus, with
charm.
Fifth
Thank you
Avenue,
so
he was
much.
a New Yorker. You know, he was around at the time, and he'd just written his last novel was called Outcry. In between, of course, he wrote Daisy Miller, Turn of the Screw, and Washington Square, and all of that stuff. So anyway, all right, we still have a 3-way tie
Wow.
in our game. This is good. This is
I have to take a very quick break. I'll be right back.
by all means, please. Let's see. Fifth question goes to Leslie anyway. So John doesn't have to be. By the way, since we have a moment break,
You can hear us.
I want to remind you that you're watching Dave's Gone By with me, Dave Lefkowitz. It's our 786th episode. We're calling it Mass Piel, and we're playing the Today Yesterday trivia game with Leslie Hoban Blake of Critics Circle with Charlie Gross, and you can watch that on YouTube. What is the latest Critics Circle?
I'm glad you asked. We got your lovely Jessica Scher to come and talk because she's doing it. She went out to Hoboken to tape her show, and Broadway on Demand will be playing it in March.
Okay.
So we figured that was a great thing to do, and she's a lovely interviewer. I didn't see you interview her, unfortunately, but she's a great interview.
Yeah.
And so she was just charming and lovely, and we saw her do it in her bedroom. I mean, that's so intriguing. She
That's
just
I saw her
simply
do it
sat
in the
in a
bedroom
chair.
too, and then I watched the show. But
David, what she did was she simply sat in a chair and did the script. So
Yeah.
the script is sound. I mean, you don't mind watching that much of a script sitting down, but I can't wait to see her move around and see the way it was directed, you know?
The first, yeah. As soon as we watched her do it in her bedroom, of course. Things left in my mind.
Not even going there. Not even going there, folks. Anyway, welcome back, John Pielmeier. Let's get that next question to Leslie Hoban Blake, which is, it's a theater question. Here we go. The year is 1917.
Yeah.
Opening tonight at the Princess Theater is the Jerome Kern and P.G. Woodhouse musical, Oh Boy. Because the story sometimes eased into the songs, it was considered a development in the structure of American musicals. Still, that's a little hard to believe, considering the titles of many of the tunes. Which of these is not a song in Oh Boy?
Whoa, okay.
A, Oh Daddy Please. B, Coolaloo. C, Flubby Dub the Caveman.
Oh God.
And D, Bats in My Baby's Belfry.
I like that last one.
Oh my God. Who is the lyricist on
Well,
these?
it's Kern and Woodhouse, P.G. Woodhouse.
Oh, P.G. Woodhouse. No, you told me. You said that in the
Yeah, sure,
question. Sorry. Okay, so Bats in My Baby's Belfry.
Batman in Your Baby's Belfry. Yeah.
Kumaloo. I missed the other two. Those are the ones.
I'll say them again if you want. It's Oh Daddy Please, Coolaloo, Flubby Dub the Caveman, Bats in My Baby's Belfry in the musical Oh Boy.
The caveman has to be in it. Nobody could make that up. Not even you, David, could make that one up. So that has to be part of the show. So
Let's do a revival at Encores.
yes,
Great.
at this point, I'm willing to watch anything at this point. You know. Oh, you're wearing a Batman shirt. Hello, look at that Batman shirt. Okay. Anyway,
Pow.
Zowie.
Yes, it's my prop. This is the budget for the entire show. Is in this prop during Today Yesterday quiz.
I took him to lunch when he was doing his Broadway one-man show. I took him to lunch when he was doing George Burns, the Riddler. When the Riddler was doing George Burns.
Yeah. Oh, that was Frank Gorshin, right?
Yes, it was Frank Gorshin,
Frank
who
Gorshin.
ate lunch at 1:00 in the afternoon, like a real old-time rat packer, you know. I mean, he ate breakfast. I'm sorry, it was his breakfast, not his lunch. Anyway, let's get back to the questions.
Back to the question.
Please, Daddy, please, Kumaloo, something about a caveman and Bats in My Baby's Belfry. I'm going to go with, I know this is going to be wrong no matter what I say. I'm going to go with Kumaloo, and I'm sure there was a Hawaiian number in it. That was one of them.
So that is your final answer?
Yes, what am I going to do? Yeah, David, go ahead. Hit the thing.
Well, I'm afraid that was very uncool, Leslie Hoban Blake. That is not the correct answer. We have the roll of the die to see who gets to steal. We have the number 5 coming up, which is closer to David Sheward.
Okay.
So, David, you get to steal. I'll read the question, or some of the question again. Opening at the Princess Theater tonight, back in 1917, the Kern Woodhouse musical, Oh Boy. It was a development in structuring American musicals, which is surprising considering the titles of some of the songs in there. One of these was not. Okay. Was it Oh Daddy Please, Coolaloo, Flubby Dub the Caveman, Bats in My Baby's Belfry?
Well, they all sound so awful that it sounds like they could have been, that they have to be in the show. So we've eliminated Kumalu. So it's either Oh Daddy Please, Bats in My Baby's Belfry, or what was the other one?
There's Flubby Dub the
Flubby
Caveman.
Dub the Caveman.
Well, you're wearing your Batman shirt, so.
I'm gonna say, and it's probably something like "Oh Daddy, Please Please" or "Oh Daddy something." You know, that's just a slight variation. I'm gonna say "Oh Daddy Please."
Is that your final answer?
Okay, sure.
Who's your daddy? Who's your daddy? Not that question. That is the incorrect answer. So, John Pielmeier, you
Okay, so you don't need to read it again. So I was going to go with Bats in My Baby's Belfry, but when Leslie said no one could make up that caveman title, you had a smile on your face that made me think, so I'm going to go with a caveman.
Final
So
answer.
this is my fault if you get it wrong, John. That's not
That's
fair.
all right. No,
It goes.
I'll accept my mistake. It's probably wrong.
Well, you need to go back to psychology class because I fooled you all. The incorrect, or a song that does not exist is "Bats in My Baby's Belfry." I made it up sometime this week. So
That sounded very 1917 PG Wodehouse to me. I don't know.
So,
babies.
It has a nice rhythm to it too.
Well, thank you. Yeah. Well, I called it "Bats in My Belfry," and then I said, let me give it like a 1920s twist, and I threw babies in there, and it just felt.
Oh, my baby's got the heebie-jeebies, and she's jumping around. And,
I'm crying because she is flying bats in my baby's belfry, something like that. Yeah. I don't know. Anyway, we're moving on to our next question. It's the last question of this round. It's still, by the way, a tie game. It's
stupid to stupid to stupid. Thank you. Yeah.
This game feels like it's 1814. All right, here we go. We get the third question does go directly to John Pielmeier. So, John, the year was 1938. 1938 was the year. Oh, was he mad? Oh, he was mad. This British foreign minister was so mad at the prime minister for signing a treaty with Italy that he resigned. For 1 point each, name these two men, and there's a hint. Years later, this foreign minister would also become a prime minister.
The two men. Name the two men. Oh,
yeah, 1 point each.
It was. Come on. The one he was angry at was who did the treaty with Hitler. Oh man. And boy, I'm feeling really stupid now.
No.
And the later one, oh God, was one who succeeded Churchill. Man, I'm just drawing a total blank. Macmillan sounds like something, but
just tell him Hamilton. Say Hamilton.
My wife is saying Hamilton and Lin-Manuel Noriega. No,
yes.
I'm going to pass on this. I mean, I can't even guess.
Okay. There's no penalty for guessing, but you're gonna.
Jackie Chan.
No, I'm afraid it is not Jackie Chan. But
John, who would win in a fight between Lin-Manuel Miranda and Jackie Chan? That's the question of the day.
Lin-Manuel Miranda.
Yeah.
So now we roll the dice.
I rolled the dice and it came up number 5. So number 5 is closer to David Sheward. So David Sheward, I'll read the question again.
Okay.
And you're a history teacher, so
Okay.
1938. Oh, he was mad. This British foreign minister was so mad at the prime minister for signing a treaty with Italy that he resigned. For 1 point each, name these 2 men. And years later, the foreign minister would also become a prime minister.
Well, I think the prime minister at that point, I believe, was Neville Chamberlain. And the foreign minister, I don't think it was Churchill. I mean, Churchill did become prime minister later during World War II once Hitler attacked. Maybe it was Churchill. Let me think. Who became prime minister? And Attlee became prime minister after Churchill, I think, but he was Labour. And I don't think he had been prime minister before. I'll just say Winston Churchill is the other one.
Okay, so you're going to say Chamberlain?
Neville Chamberlain and Winston Churchill.
Well, you get 1 point for a correct answer, but the other goes into the chamber pot, except that part. But anyway, so David, you get 1 point, and Leslie, you get to steal 1 point if you know the name of the...
Yes, it was only because of Helen Mirren and the audience, David Sheward. I'm using one of our theatrical references. I believe it was Anthony Eden.
Oh, okay.
Is that your final, Leslie?
Oh yeah, come on. That's as many as I can come up with. I can't pull any more out of my butt. I don't know anybody else.
Well, how incredibly appropriate, Leslie Blake, because John Pielmeier's wife, her last name is O'Garden, and it's an O'Garden of Eden. Well done. That is the correct answer.
That's the stretch.
I know.
Yes, they're all a stretch, David. Come on.
Thank you very
Like
much.
some of them are not a stretch. Please.
Oh, but well done, Leslie. So you got a point, David, and you got a point, Leslie. It was Anthony Eden who was the foreign minister who became prime minister, and Neville Chamberlain was the guy who, known for appeasing Hitler, but also signed a treaty with Mussolini in Italy. Okay. So we have 3 for David, 3 for Leslie.
But signing this treaty with Italy was the same reason that Anthony Eden got angry. It was another appeasement.
Oh, sure.
He was just appeasing people all over the place,
This is true. He's a people appeaser. What can I tell you?
The
Leaning tower of appeasement.
Thank you very much. All right, we're on.
Has John left us permanently? I don't see him.
No, he's here.
He's still here.
I admire his fortitude. This is
Yes, I do. I admire your fortitude, John.
He sticks it out.
He's going to get material for his next script.
Yeah, this is going to be his next TV.
Yes.
Movie.
Yeah.
Like the person who does a podcast where technical difficulties are repeated, and there's a psycho running loose who has several personalities.
It would be called Agonies of God.
Yeah.
Well, they've already done Hand to God,
We have our final round. So David gets the first question in our final round. And we finally move into, we were actually already in the 20th century. We go to 1939. February 20th is the day. Fritz Julius Kuhn gave a big angry speech today, saying that his organization was looking for new members so long as the joiners were, quote, sincere, of good character, of white Gentile stock, and American citizens imbued with patriotic zeal. Where did he give this speech?
Boy Scouts.
I think, that's sort of a tricky. I thought you were going to ask what his organization was. But actually, I think it may be that you're referring to the Nazi or the American Nazi rally that was held at Madison Square Garden. And there was an Oscar-nominated short about it. And they had swastikas and pictures of George Washington and everything. So I'm going to say Madison Square Garden.
Is that your final answer?
Yes.
Well, strike up the bund. That is the correct answer. Well done. It was the big Nazi
Strike up
rally in 1939 at Madison Square Garden. 20,000 people attended. And yet it
And
went
they marched down Fifth Avenue. Do you remember the pictures of that? Carrying swastikas and
Oh, I
marching
wasn't there.
down Fifth Avenue.
It's on Netflix.
yeah, no, I didn't realize there was also a parade.
Yes, there was
I
a
did not know.
parade.
Wow. Not my kind of Halloween parade, let me tell you. But
No.
this puts David in the lead with 5 points, Leslie with 3. John, you're still in the game with 2 points. Our next question.
John, I got 0 last week. I couldn't think of anything. I got 0 last week. That never happened to me before. Go ahead, please. I'm
Leslie
sorry.
has also won round, won games too. So they're formidable opponents, and you're all doing great. Leslie, this question is for you. The year 1950, embarking on a 3-month tour of New York, is poet Dylan Thomas. Here's some trivia about Dylan Thomas, only one of which is true. Okay, which of these is true? A, he was only 44 years old when he died. B, although sickly and prone to drink, Thomas spent a year in the RAF during World War II. C, one of his earliest published poems was plagiarized from a magazine. Or D, one of Thomas's unfinished projects was a collaboration on a musical work with Sergei Prokofiev.
I'm sorry. The idea of Dylan Thomas and Sergei Prokofiev just makes me laugh, which means it's probably true. Okay. So we have the RAF. We have the unfinished musical with Prokofiev. We have his age 44. And then what was the fourth one that I missed?
One of his earliest published poems was plagiarized from a magazine.
Oh, plagiarism. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And one of them is true and the other's a false, or it's the other way around?
In this
One is
particular
true.
case, they're all false except one.
Oh, okay. Only one is true.
Only
One is true.
is true. Leslie, you have a beautiful thumb.
Oh God, thank you. I'm holding the damn phone
Yeah.
because the holder's too far away for me to get. I'm pretty sure he died at the age of 44. I know he was very young. I'm going to say he died at 44.
Okay.
If the Hotel Chelsea were still there, there was a plaque outside that would have told me exactly the year, but
Final answer?
Yeah.
Oh, wow, I'm sorry, I cannot think of a pun for this one. So, but it is not the correct answer. That is not true.
It's not true. Okay.
He probably died at 43.
Or I'm just saying it's not true. I'm
Okay.
gonna roll a die and let's see who gets a chance to steal. We get the number 3, and 3 is John's number. So John Pielmeier, I can read the choices again.
We have plagiarism, Prokofiev, and RAF.
Right.
I'll go with the RAF.
You're going to say that it is true.
No,
That they put him in the
RAF. No, I'm going to change my mind about that. I'll say the plagiarism.
You're going to say that one is true, and the others
No,
are.
I'm going to go with Prokofiev. That's the one. That's the one I want. I'm just watching your face.
I
you know?
know.
I'll go with Prokofiev. That's Prokofiev. That's my final answer.
Final answer for Prokofiev. You student of psychology, you. Well, Peter, I guess I'm the wolf in this one because that is not the correct answer. Ha!
Okay.
So, David Sheward,
All right.
psychologically speaking, you get a chance to steal these 2 points.
All right. So it's either the plagiarism or the RAF. One of those is true.
One of those is actually true.
I think it's the plagiarism. I'll say plagiarism.
Well, since you've been a journalist for so many years, you do give good copy. Yes, it was in fact the plagiarism. That was a true thing that happened. Let me give you all the fact stuff. Dylan Thomas was only 39 when he died, amazingly enough. And what the plagiarism thing was, 40 years after it was published, a poem called His Requiem turned out to be by Lillian Gard. Lillian Gard's daughter spotted the poem in a collected works of Dylan Thomas, and she said, wait, my mom wrote that. As for the other one, by the way, Dylan Thomas was collaborating with Igor Stravinsky, who ended up writing a musical piece called In Memoriam Dylan Thomas in 1954.
Oh,
So it wasn't
wow.
Prokofiev, it was Stravinsky. So
You want to hear the craziest thing?
sure.
I translated Dylan Thomas into Brendan Behan, and I kept thinking it can't be the RAF because he was in a Borstal. So I totally screwed up who I was thinking of. So that's okay.
And Dylan Thomas was so sickly and drunk that they would not,
Oh,
he
yeah.
did not serve in the military.
Oh yeah, I think he died at the Chelsea.
Oh,
One of them died. Either he or
White
Brendan Behan
Horse
died at the
Tavern.
Chelsea.
The White Horse Tavern.
Yeah, he
Oh, was it
collapsed
the
on the
White
White
Horse
Horse. I
Tavern?
think he died in hospital.
But
Collapsed
he
on
got,
the White Horse. They took him to the hospital. He died at like St. Vincent's or something like that.
Oh, our beloved St. Vincent.
and he got very drunk at the White Horse. Yeah.
Yeah.
is there any other way to be? And by the way, everybody avoid, what is it, the Red Hook Tavern in Brooklyn, because they fired that waitress, so don't go there if you
Oh yeah, I'm going to go out to Red Hook and not go
Why,
to that.
I didn't hear that. Why did they fire her?
Because she is pregnant
Paramount.
and she's deciding, at least for the moment, not yet to get the vaccine.
Oh,
And the restaurant is requiring all its
Oh.
employees to. It's a tough.
oh yeah. Oh,
Talking about it earlier, but they fired her. Pregnant woman, waitress, hardworking. I don't know.
And reasonable problem for pregnant women at this point is that we don't know what the outcome of the vaccine will be. So it's not like she's just going, I'm an anti-vaxxer. It's
Right.
not that.
Yeah.
You have to give her certain points for that.
Well, speaking of points, we're giving David Sheward 5 points, Leslie 3, and John 2. But this last question does go to John. So, John, let's hear. Here we go. The year 1962. Okay. A year after Yuri Gagarin and Herman Titov put Russia first in the space race, John Glenn became the first American to orbit the Earth. What was the name of the spacecraft?
Oh. Boy,
That's something we should all know.
I know. We should all know.
And I don't.
The Mercury, something.
Is that your final answer?
Yeah, that is. I know it's wrong, but it's final.
Well, I've taken the temperature of your answer, and it is not Mercury. It is not the correct answer, John. So we get a chance for a steal here. Leslie, I believe you can tie if this roll goes to you. It goes to the number 2, and number 2 is Leslie's direct number. So, Leslie, can you take a guess, or if you know it?
Well, give me just a second because
Sure.
I thought somebody would get it before me. As I said, we should all know this, so I don't know it either. John Glenn in the John Glenn. And he wasn't alone in it. It's the one that it was in the movie. This is the one from the movie, for God's sake. Challenger blew up. The Apollo.
Is that your...
That's my only answer. Yeah.
By Zeus, Apollo is not the right answer. So, David Sheward, you now get to maybe steal the question.
right. I think
Yeah.
I'm going to say Friendship 7.
Whoa.
All right. Is that going to be your final answer?
Yes.
You gotta have friends. Where did you pull that from? It was the Friendship 7. Well done, David Sheward. Oh my God.
You know how I knew that?
No.
Because in a very, very bad movie called Muscle Beach Party, Annette Funicello gets into a fight with the Italian actress, some Italian actress, who was actor Frankie Avalon. And she says, either you leave him alone or I'm going to punch you so hard, it's going to make, you'll go into orbit and it'll make Friendship 7 look like a badminton thing.
And this is how we remember. Yeah. I mean, it was the correct. Fantastic. And what is actually really fantastic is that the Friendship 7 is still on display at the National Air and Space Museum. You can go see
It was so funny when I said Friendship 7. Your face was like, "What?
it.
How did you
Yeah,
know
give the
that?"
game away. I was like, yeah. Well, first of all, David Sheward, you've technically won the game. You've got so
Oh,
many.
he actually won the game. There's nothing technical. He won the game.
Congratulations.
Not over yet.
Technical.
The game is not over.
Well, we just for funsies, we have the tiebreaker, which we ask anyway. And John, you're a writer. Do you have a pen and paper near you?
A pen
Can
and
you
paper,
see
yes.
that all of my
Pencil.
paper is
Well, let
full
me
of
get
coffee stains
paper.
because I
Okay.
spilled my coffee all over it?
Oh, okay. It's very simple because everybody gets to answer the final question at the same time. So I read the question, and then you write the answer down, and then when I do like a 3, 2, 1, everybody shows the answer all at once. So
Better be Jackie Chan. That's all I can say.
hey, you might get the this is more like modern social entertainment history, so it's not a big, heavy, dark one. So David's running to get a pen and paper. I want to, by the way, take this opportunity to thank all of you for playing this game. Leslie, you can see Leslie and Charlie Gross in their podcast show, and it's a video podcast on YouTube. It's called Critics Circle. Their most recent episode includes our friend of the Daverhood, Jessica Scher, who's doing her show about Betty Davis Inc. for Sissies. And do you do the show once every 2 weeks, Les? Is that the...
Well, they were showing our last show for the last month and a half because we didn't have a new one up. So this is our first one. I would say it's about once a month at this point. It's just, getting the energy up to do it and then getting it up. I mean, we've been reviewing and we've been putting the reviews up on YouTube, but actually getting an interview has just, I don't know, the thrill is gone kind of thing at this moment in time.
All right. Well,
I'm
I'm
getting it's 1 year into the pandemic blues at this point,
I hear you.
We'll try to get back to a regular schedule.
But I do want to remind people that all the older episodes of Critic Circle are there at that channel on YouTube, the Critic Circle channel, and not to mention the Two on the Aisle channel, where Leslie and Charlie have been for years reviewing theater and doing their show. So
yours was there too, David, with Jeff. I mean, it goes back to 15 years, which is when you were doing it.
More than 25 years, Les.
But I've only been there for 12, so
Charlie put up an episode that I was on from 1994.
I saw that.
I had such beautiful hair. I can't believe it. Anyway, David Sheward, by the way, he wrote a biography of George C. Scott. Was it Rage and Glory?
Yes.
Rage and Glory. And he's also readable in his blog, The David Desk, as well as theaterlife.com, culturalweekly.com. And want to thank so much also, of course, most of all, to our very, very special guest in the Daverhood, John Pielmeier. Remember that johnpielmeier.com is the website where you can read all about all the stuff he's written, because he's got little blurbs about so many of his plays and screenplays, and find out what he's up to and what he's doing. Plus, tonight on Lifetime Television, the teleplay that he wrote all about the Long Island serial killer. Much, much great fun. That is
John, who's in the movie?
Kim Delaney is the...
Really? Okay. Nice.
It was shot in Vancouver, so all the other actors are Canadian actors.
Right.
So...
I had an opportunity to be in it, and I decided not to do it because I would have had to quarantine for 2 weeks for 1 day of shooting, and I thought,
right.
Yeah.
In lovely Toronto or someplace, right?
Vancouver. So
yeah, I remember.
Anyway, it's time for our non-tiebreaker question because David's already won the game. But just for funsies, February 20th, 1987 is the year. After 3,189 broadcasts, this original anchor left Good Morning America to pursue other projects, among them a number of walk-through New York documentaries on PBS. Name that host. So kindly write it down if you know or take a guess.
what was the date again?
It was 1987. This original anchor left Good Morning America to pursue other projects, among them a number of walk-through New York documentaries on PBS. Name.
I only know his last name. Is that okay?
Yeah, it's CHAN. Chan. No.
Or KHAN.
All right, are you all ready? When I count down from 3, you'll just hold up your signs and we'll see who gets the points on this. Ready, guys? 3, 2, 1. Show me what you got.
No.
Oh, do we have anything from John or?
Nothing.
No, sorry. But yes, we have 2 correct answers. It was, in fact, David Hartman, who was one of the original. He and Nancy Dessau were the original hosts, if you remember that, on Good Morning America. And amazing that David Hartman is still alive. He's still.
I kept wanting to write Phil Hartman, and I knew it wasn't Phil Hartman. I just remembered the lesson. Do you see the coffee all over all of this?
Yeah.
You think I was joking about dropping coffee? It's all over the floor. Oh, God. And now I have to clean up that floor. Thank you for. Now, may I ask a question? Is it my computer, or is it something to do with the snow on the towers out where you are? Because we've never had that problem before.
But your phone has been fine. This has been so much.
My phone is not the issue. I want to know if there's something wrong with my computer.
I doubt it. I mean, you sometimes have issues logging in to the show.
Yeah, logging in is not. I couldn't hear you. Everything. I mean, it was complete kaput. So I just very worried. I'll keep my phone next to us for next week. Just in
please
case.
do that. That would be really, so that way, just in case.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Lovely meeting you, sort of, John.
Yeah.
I mean, sort of meeting you. Lovely.
Thank you.
Oh, and by the way, the swan is a tablespoon measure.
Oh.
Oh.
And I
Well,
have a whole set of them.
while we're talking about things, my daughter-in-law made this little hoodie for my bear.
This is what happens in pandemic. This is what people do. Yeah, it's adorable though.
Dave, who is your animal?
Actually, she did it before, but
my animal is, of course, Potato. He's my spirit animal, if you will. Not so much a couch potato, just a joyful, smiling potato. It's the opposite of who I am in real life. All my good qualities are in this potato.
And John, with all those things in your room, what is your spirit animal?
My spirit animal. I have to run upstairs to get it. It's a bear, probably.
Oh, well, I've got all of these bears. I'm a tremendous bear freak. So is David Sheward. Right, David?
Elephants more than bears.
Okay, never mind. Well, I'm the bear freak then.
I also have an elephant in here somewhere, too.
Next week, I'll show you the closet with my bears in them.
It's interesting that both of them are bears and yet they're polar opposites.
Oh, I'm going through a tunnel. I'm sorry.
Folks, it has been absolutely delightful having each and every one of you in the Daverhood. Thank you, John Pielmeier. Congratulations on the show, the movie that's happening tonight on Lifetime, and many, many more movies. And write some more plays, please. Please.
John, it should be a fantastic rating because you got the word serial killer in the title.
Yeah, I know. But it's also, I think it's Lifetime's 400th original movie.
Oh, so it's a big deal on top of that.
Big deal for them. Yeah.
Well, congratulations.
I'm so delighted to meet you. Agnes. Oh my God, there I am. I haven't seen myself here. Agnes of God was one of my very favorite plays of all time.
Thanks very much.
Oh, that's lovely. And that's a critic saying, I know you don't read the critics, but you can hear the critics.
No, it doesn't matter. It just happens to be true. That's all. I mean,
Thank you.
It is a truth.
Wow. Well, thank you so much for the delight and the fun.
Bye.
Stay healthy. And I'm gonna have to
thank the rabbi for me again, please.
Oh, I will.
Oh, David, I got it.
If you two are speaking, I don't know.
Until April.
Yeah, he doesn't like me very much, but I make overtures. I buy him babka. Eventually we'll get along.
Vodka or babka?
Babka, from.
It sounded like vodka.
Oh, yeah, that too. Yeah. Anyway, goodbye, folks, and thanks. I'm going to drop you all out from the show, but thank you so much for being with us on this Saturday morning. Okay, and bye, David Sheward.
Bye-bye.
I can't get off the thing now. I'm trying to get off.
Hold on. I'm.
Let me go, David.
Okay. I always feel, it's 10 questions.
It's insanity, but it's just chaos.
It's 10. Alex Trebek goes through 25 questions in the first 3 minutes of Jeopardy, and it takes me more than an hour to get through 10 trivia questions with 3 people. And yeah, we have a great time. And I thank so much to all, especially John, for being such an amazing sport. You know, you could tell, reading people's faces and stuff. I said, should I stick around and do this trivia thing? And he was so patient and so fun. And he did pretty darn well, too. He got a couple of points in our Yesterday trivia game right here on Dave's Gone By, hosted by me, Dave Lefkowitz. I'm here with my darling, adorable, and wonderful wife, Joyce. Hello, Joyce. It's our 786th episode of the show. We're calling it Mass Appeal in honor of our new guest and friend in the Daverhood, John Pielmeier. Friend of the Daverhood means he's been on the show, so we're going to keep tabs on him. If he's got more TV movies coming up in the hopper or he's doing other things, then we're going to let you know about it. That's what we do in a segment that we call Friends of the Daverhood. It's about, saying, hey, these amazing, talented people have been on Dave's Gone By. What are they doing months or years later? Friends of the Daverhood. Excuse me. Well, among our other friends of the Daverhood, did you see that article, the news story about Robin Schall, the comedian who was on our show several months ago? She was in the New York Post. Usually you don't want to be in a story in the New York Post, but check this out. She did this in a great way. She raised a bunch of money on Instagram, and she went to a restaurant and gave a $7,000 tip to a waitress at a wine bar in New York. And then there was other money that she had raised, and she gave that to the other staff and found other ways to give every single penny that she had raised on Instagram away. It was just a way of saying thank you for being a waiter or waitress or door person during this pandemic, for keeping the place open, for trying to get by on salaries that are 1/whatever of what you were making. So Robin Schall really kind of doing a very, very cool thing and celebrated in the New York Post this past week. Yay for her. Want to let you know that our friend of the Daverhood, Mike Burston, is directing virtually the Megillah cycle, just in time for Purim, with a whole bunch of our friends of the Daverhood, including, he's in the show, Mike Burston is, Avi Hoffman, Alan Lewis Rickman, and Eleanor Risa. It's opening, or you can start to see it, tomorrow, and then it's going to be up, I guess, indefinitely. They don't have a closing date for it. So check it out at CongressForJewishCulture.org, CongressForJewishCulture.org, for the Megillah cycle, directed and co-starring Mike Burston. Now, through the middle of March, you can watch Smithtown, a dark comedy featuring our friend Ann Harada. The website is tskw.org, tskw.org. Reminding you that Eric Comstock and Barbara Fasano, they post duets of popular songs on their YouTube page, Barbara Fasano and Eric Comstock. Evan Seplow is the editor and founder of StageBuddy.com, which is a great guide to New York nightlife. Subscribe to DrDemento.com for his old shows, going all the way back to the 1970s, and brand new ones that he does every week. DrDemento.com. SoundsOfBroadway.com. This is a new, well, it's been on for a couple of years now, but it's a website created by Stuart Brown, and it's 24/7 Broadway musicals, Broadway show tunes. He's raising money for it. It costs him about like $1,000 a month or more, basically for the rights to the music and to get the website up and have enough streaming. So he's trying to raise money. He's doing it's either a Kickstarter or one of those kinds of things, but you can donate and also listen for free to soundsofbroadway.com. David J. Gerstein is doing live Facebook shows Tuesday nights at 8. He is, of course, Dave J., who wrote our closing theme song, the Dave's Gone By theme song. Bob Cudmore doing these podcasts and now videocasts of upstate New York history, bobcudmore.com. And then Ellie King of Broadway is doing daily shows on Facebook as well. If you haven't seen Ellie King of Broadway's show, you ain't seen nothing like it. Just for fun, you gotta check it out. Ellie King of Broadway. And is there anybody else want want to mention. And remember that you can, of course, read Phil Mushnick in the New York Post. I should have him on again. He was such a great guest. He's a sports writer, but he doesn't like just cover games and stuff. He writes about how media covers sports. And usually he complains nonstop about everything. But he's great to read. It's Phil Mushnick in the New York Post. And those, my friends, are the friends of the Daverhood. Well, it is just about noon Eastern Time. Whew, here on Dave's Gone By. This is a program that mixes humor and talk and music and culture and all sorts of weirdnesses. I've been hosting it since October of 2002, so it's a good time for me to remind you that if you want to see last week's show, or a show from a couple of weeks ago, or a couple of months ago, or 18 years ago, they're all up there at davesgoneby.com. Dave, like my name, davesgoneby.com. The archives are all there. They're all absolutely free. You can either watch them on your computer or listen to them, since the first many years were audio only, or you can download them as MP3s and take them with you as podcasts. Either way, if there was some show, you could go and look for our 78th show. It's right there at your fingertips. You can listen. We also have a separate archive just for the guests, for the friends of the Daverhood who have been on the program. So yeah, it's a ton. It's thousands of hours of entertainment at davesgoneby.com. We also put our archives at archive.org. It's a nonprofit organization that gathers entertainment from the past 1,000 years. We're in there. Archive.org. Our podcasts, so our audio only, you can find at castbox.fm. You can also find a ton of our stuff on YouTube, almost all of our stuff, unless they've muted it for copyright issues, on YouTube. And then, of course, on Monday, early morning, Monday 1 a.m. and Tuesdays 4 a.m. on Comcast, or it's really Altice, Optimum, Cablevision, whatever the hell they call local Long Island, Nassau County cable. If you still have that, and you happen to be a night owl, 1 o'clock in the morning Mondays, 4 o'clock in the morning on Tuesdays, turn it to channel 20, and you will see parts of Dave's Gone By, hour-long excerpts of the show. It's the same stuff you can see a lot easier and in fuller form on davesgoneby.com, but we figure, hey, there's people who may not have come across the show in any other way, and suddenly, oh, there's this guy on channel 20. Check it out. It's Dave's Gone By. And by the way, if you want to write to me, davesgoneby@aol.com is the way to do that, or feel free to post right on this Facebook page, or message me directly if you're a Facebook friend. What else? And we have a Twitter feed, which is Radio Dave 2. Radio Dave, the number 2. And finally, want to also remind you that if you want to read my stuff, my plays, my theater reviews, my articles, my comic essays, all that stuff, we've just been, it's this enormous project. I'm going to die before it's finished, but we're just gathering it all in one place so that when I go, what will outlive me? Basically, the stuff I've written, and it's all there at davelefkowitz.org. Dave Lefkowitz, Lefkowitz. There's no T in there. I don't know why people stick it. They think it's like Lefkowitz. It's not. It's davelefkowitz.org, and you can just surf through there, read a funny little one-act play, then wash it down with a theater review from 20 years ago, and then follow that up with a song or one of my Colorado limericks, all there at davelefkowitz.org. Well, what left is there to do on the program? My gosh, we've got our Colorado Limerick of the Damned, and we haven't even gone to Greeley Crimes and Old Times yet. But we're going to do that in a minute. What I do want to do before then, and I apologize for this beforehand, but a couple of years ago, for no particular reason, and so much of this show is for no particular reason, got it into my head to start writing these very, very short little, super short stories, not really jokes, if you will, that end with a horrendous play on words. They're not dirty or anything like that. They're just, you read them, you hear them, and you go, oh God. There goes my lunch, there goes my life. These are what we call wretched puns of destiny. And we don't do them all the time. But we do have a new one this week. A wretched pun of destiny. It's our 90th, believe it or not. And it's all about a coup. Here is our wretched pun. The days gone by, wretched pun of destiny. In the middle of filming a commercial for Gucci watches, Ashton Kutcher learns from a local crew member that the Latin American country they're in is a cruel dictatorship. The people are starving, oppressed, and secretly begging the military to overthrow the king. Kutcher is so moved by these stories that he takes the millions he was paid for the Gucci ad and donates them to the cause. He even volunteers to lend his name to the uprising. The next day, the king's advisor runs into the palace, laughing like crazy. "What is it?" says the king. "What's so funny?" "It's the army," giggles the advisor. "They're storming the barricades." "The soldiers have turned?" "Yes," gasps the advisor, doubling over with laughter. "It's that American actor. He's behind it." "This is terrible," cries the king. "We're done for. But what the hell do you find so funny?" "I'm sorry, Your Highness. It's what they're calling it. The Kutcher Gucci coup." We here at Dave's Gone By apologize for bringing you the wretched pun of destiny. Potato, what you think of that wretched pun? I know, Potato, I know. I'm sorry. I do apologize for these things, but I don't stop doing them. The wretched pun of destiny, Kutcher Gucci coup. Yeah, I know. Hon, you okay after that?
Oh, I feel sick again.
So, but Joyce, I'm going to need your help. I'm going to need your assistance on the audio portion of this next segment. We do it every week. It has to do with stories that take place in this newspaper,
I don't know where
the Greeley Tribune.
I got it.
Oh, she's waiting patiently. Oh, there we go. Because we call it Greeley Crimes Old Times. Da-da-da-da! Finally, indeed we. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, Greeley Crimes Old Times, which is basically a mix of two columns that actually appear in this paper every week. One of them has to do with phone calls that come into the police dispatch in Weld County, Colorado, and the other is items that were taken from the newspaper back in 1921 and what was then the Greeley Tribune Republican. We mix them up and we call this segment Greeley Crimes in Old Times, and it generally starts with a crime, and oh boy, our first crime of the day. An animal control officer responded to a report of a chihuahua, that's close to a chihuahua, ain't it, that kept getting loose and chasing others. The owner was warned she could be cited for having a dangerous animal, regardless of the size of the dog. I don't know. I always feel like, pit bulls scare me, shepherds scare me, dobies.
Chihuahua.
But, a chihuahua could bite you, but then you just step on its head.
Oh, God.
I'm just saying. A chihuahua can be really ferocious and you get scratched up a little bit. It's still not quite the same. Oh, we have another crime. We have a caller. A caller on 2nd Street reported a man sitting in the middle of the road smoking. I mean, why don't he smoke it in the road? Right. Meanwhile, this is, I think, the next day, the next day, technically, in the morning, a caller on 3rd Street reporting a man walking up and down the street screaming. You think it's the same guy like when the smoke wore off?
I believe he ran out of his cigarette.
I'm out of smokes!
Anyone have a light?
Oh, man. Meanwhile, a caller at a store on 23rd Avenue reported a man completely undressed in the bathroom and refusing to leave. At least he was in the bathroom completely undressed.
God bless him. Maybe he was showering.
Yeah. Maybe the button in the store, he was trying to get out, but he was locked in, and they couldn't let him out until...
So. Maybe he thought he was in a dressing room.
That could be.
He was trying on new clothes.
It'd be great if it was a hardware store, though.
In his mind.
In his mind, yes.
If you put the words in his mind or in their mind after everything, you'll be fine.
Now, here's something that 100 years ago, this was in the paper, 100 years ago in the newspaper, a local doctor says salt is one of the prime causes of cancer. Other doctors disagree because Italy uses more salt than any other country, and cancer cases there are very low. I don't know if that's changed or whatever, or how they're accounting.
High blood pressure, maybe.
But yeah, they make all those pastas, they make all that good stuff. Well, I mean, but then again, we don't really attribute cancer to salt. We attribute blood pressure. Yeah.
Heart disease, yeah.
And also, I mean, have they ever studied what it does to slugs?
Oh, David.
I mean, it doesn't do it to us what it does to slugs. I'm just saying.
Please don't say that. Please stop.
All right, from 100 years ago, editorials are encouraging schools to take more care protecting students and teachers from various diseases now inflicting them.
Mm-hmm.
This is from 100 years ago.
Okay.
Schools being encouraged to protect students from diseases. There are more cases of measles and whooping cough than from scarlet fever, yet schools are concentrating on scarlet fever. Which, I know, that sounds like kind of going for a bad virus instead of trying to cure cancer, heart disease, and the flu.
I agree.
Who would do that? How would that ever happen?
No idea.
Oh, this is lovely. This does not need a siren, but this needs something lovely and gentle. Okay, that works. That actually works. Do that. A registered Holstein cow, or Holstein, if you will, in Johnstown, named Favorite, won the state butterfat producing title. An average cow makes 56 pounds of butterfat per month. Favorite produced 102.2 pounds.
That's some kind of disease.
This is a cow with a glandular problem.
That cow needs probably some.
Either that, or the farmer's really cruel. He's like, churn, the whip, churn.
That seems extreme.
I know. I'm just milking that joke. Because I have a very dairy air. Yeah, it's a little cow joke. I'm a little whoring in on you there. I know you're not in the mood.
Just don't give me some bull.
Yes, indeed. Yes. Oh, well, some see the glass as half full.
Oh.
All right. Enough. I know. Believe me, you can think worse things about this program and me than I think about myself. I promise you that.
That quiz was bizarre today, FYI.
Well, it's always, Leslie logging on is always an adventure. It's Thor Heyerdahl taking on Kon-Tiki. It's like, will this connect?
I like when everyone talks at once.
No, I hate that because everything freezes and then it's really impossible. We come back to a crime. A caller.
Oh, wait, wrong one.
No, that actually works.
Wrong one.
A caller at a cosmetics business wanted to report extortion after a client squeezed a discount out of the caller by threatening to post a bad review. The caller was informed that extortion doesn't apply to the act of leaving a bad review.
No.
Well, think about it. You go into a store or a restaurant.
Yeah, but you can do that. That's not. If you don't give me a discount, I'll give you a bad review. You say, I'm not going to give you a discount, give a bad review.
Well, yeah, but I mean, it's
not extortion. She's not saying I'm going to firebomb your store.
Well, it's blackmail. It is. It's not good. It's not illegal.
It's bad social media. That's all.
Yeah. And they're doing it. We were talking about it before. If you don't rehire this woman, we're going to give you bad reviews on Yelp. Right bully, but I just find that kind of interesting. It's like, if I don't, I'll say that I found roaches in your restaurant if you don't give me a discount.
So there was somebody who had like an exercise. It wasn't exercise, but it was related.
Mhm.
And a disgruntled employee gave a bad review, and she said, "You don't understand how much, even on Facebook, how much a bad review impacts my bottom line." Yeah.
Well, and that's why.
But you can reply.
Even big companies say, "We're sorry that you felt this way, that you had this experience. Please contact us." Blah blah blah. They have to. They know they can't remove it. It's only Yelp itself, or Facebook, or TripAdvisor, I think, that can, or the person who posts himself can remove.
That's the free market, right?
Police responded to a woman. Oh my God! Forgive me. This is sort of a half-assed semi chicken alert.
Wow.
Chicken alert. Oh, this one has a nice tone. This is a story that has to do with chickens. That's why we call it a chicken alert. There it is. A police responded to a woman who reported a rooster in distress in her front yard. I don't know why she was in distress rather than that dress, but yes. Oh, those crazy roosters. Maybe it was going to a hen party. Maybe it found some nice cock. But let's move on to our next Greeley crime and old time. Let's do another. Shall we do another old timer? What shall we do? What shall we do? Oh, we have a lot of old. Yeah, let's do some old time ones. A prowler. Nobody uses that word anymore. A prowler was reported on 9th Street entering a coal shed and stole. I love this. He entered a coal shed and stole a large amount of coal plus the coal shovel. Police are investigating. And I'm thinking they were thinking that he was a Polish prowler because first he stole the coal by hand and then he took the shovel. I can't. Anyway. Hey, it's non-renewable energy, folks. By the way, I love this. Hun, do you know what the alfalfa dodder is?
No, what is it?
The alfalfa dodder. It's got nothing to do.
Is it like hay?
Like with the guy who killed that little rascal.
Hay?
No, it is a worrisome weed that can kill fields of alfalfa, and unfortunately they have found it in Weld County. Steps are being taken to kill the weed before it spreads any further. Other names for this terrible weed include love vine, strangleweed, hairweed, devil's hair, devil's gut, I've had that, and hellbind. This is not they don't like this alfalfa dodder one bit.
No.
Not at all. I still hate the goat weed. It stopped me riding my bicycle in Weld County. Just these prickly little goat things shooting up from the grass. Okay, let's do this one properly. This one is an actual chicken alert. Chicken alert! Chicken alert! Chicken alert. From 100 years ago, at Mr. Hoban's home in Evans, Colorado, thieves stole 23 of his Rhode Island red chickens. According to the victim, how much are they worth?
$100
for
all of them.
For all of them. Let me see. That's actually pretty good. They're worth $4 each.
Okay.
So yeah. So but I don't know if he was talking to his insurance company, wouldn't he say like 8? Or maybe they're worth $1, and he said no, they're worth 4. They're cute.
$25 a piece. They're one of a kind.
Now, once a week on Greeley Crimes Old Times on Dave's Gone By, we do one story that isn't from Weld County, that isn't from Greeley, Colorado. We go further afield for something odd, and we're going on for this one, and it is also another chicken alert. Ladies and gentlemen, we go all the way to Cullman, Alabama. Cullman, Alabama, Now let us unpack and savor this first sentence very slowly. This is wonderful. Everything is here. A Mississippi teen who lost his Civil War reenacting pet chicken, Peep,
Aww.
outside of a Cracker Barrel restaurant in Alabama, was reunited with a bird,
Aww.
courtesy of a farmer who helped find the fowl. This is all one sentence, ladies and gentlemen. A Mississippi teen who lost his Civil War reenacting pet chicken named Peep,
Aww.
lost it outside of a Cracker Barrel in Alabama, was reunited with a bird, courtesy of a farmer who helped find the fowl. Thomas Ramsey, who founded a military reenactment group for youth, told the Cullman Times he was headed home for a weekend event at Spring Hill, Tennessee, when he stopped with a friend at the Cracker Barrel. He left Peep, a rooster that participates in simulated battles. A rooster
Aww.
that participates in simulated battles.
Which side does he portray?
I assume he's a Rhode Island Red, so he'd be a red coat, probably. He left the rooster tied to his truck in the parking lot.
Of course. Where else would you put your rooster?
I don't know. There's animal abuse there. Ramsey, age 18, said that he and his friend walked out and about for an hour. He walked out about an hour later from the Cracker Barrel to discover the chicken had flown the coop and was nowhere to be seen.
Has he heard of a thing called a cage?
No, right? And this is his quote.
Uh-oh.
I went back into the Cracker Barrel, and it was very hard for me to say this with a straight face, but I was panicking. Do you have cameras in the parking lot? I think someone stole my chicken. Unquote.
Your takeout, sir?
I know, right? And believe it or not, someone overheard him and said they saw Peep wandering in the parking lot. An animal control officer got involved in the hunt, and missing chicken photos of Peep soon spread on social media pages around Cullman. Because, it's so important and difficult to differentiate Peep from the 1,000 other missing roosters wandering through town.
He was a Civil War reenactor. They're hard to come by.
I guess maybe he was carrying a little sword.
Yeah, maybe he'll have a little Confederate hat.
Da 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 da. It's like,
Poor Peep.
with no sign of Peep, Ramsey continued to drive home.
This is sad.
But then, this is the second half of the Lifetime movie. Then he got a message that the bird had been found outside of the Cracker Barrel. Farmer John Watson, who posted advice on catching Peep, had the rooster and was headed to Birmingham to meet Ramsey for a reunion. Said Watson, quote, I believe in paying it forward. God has blessed my family so much throughout the years. I believe we should be kind to our fellow man. Yes, I need like patriotic music behind it. Yes, it was just a chicken. Yes, it was just a chicken, but it was his chicken, and he clearly cared for it. Ramsey said that Civil War soldiers sometimes brought animals with them on the battlefield, so he takes Peep to reenactments. During the first one that Peep attended, the bird got out of a bag and wandered around during a simulated battle. There's, quote, there's about 10 cannons just blazing and all the rifle fire, and he's not going crazy. He's pretty chill.
Aww,
Unquote,
Peepster.
Said Ramsey.
Peep the chicken.
So but I mean, the amazing part is, like, when he was a few years younger, here's this guy, he takes a chicken, he brings it to these explosions in this rifle fire, he ties it to the truck. This guy belongs in prison. I mean, yeah, the chicken's pretty chill. He's got PTSD.
He's probably deaf.
I know, that's right.
From all the noise on the battlefield.
We got. Back. Oh no, Colonel Sanders. I don't know. Let's finish up Greeley Crimes Old Times on this Saturday morning here. Let's see. Let's have something fun.
David, I'm mad that I wasn't able to do your stems because it would look really cute.
So next time we'll add some
And you
stems.
know what I have to do for the potatoes? I have to get like black paper and just make the outline of eyes and a nose and put it on there.
Yeah, then well, you can tell. You can see. Look, can you tell the difference? One of these three is not like the others. One of these three just doesn't belong, and you tell me. So which is the real potato and which is the cutout? Anywho, last one. A caller. Oh, hun,
What?
hun.
What?
Guess what location we're going to in Greeley?
Fort Lupton?
No. Great guess though. Where is the vortex? Where's the black hole?
Oh, 8th and 8th.
8th and 8th! We have an 8th and 8th alert. The vortex of all things weird and insane and alien-like in Greeley, Colorado is 8th Avenue and 8th Street. 8th and 8th. And when we have an 8th and 8th story, oh, what a joy. What a joy indeed. We have an 8th and 8th story, ladies and gentlemen. A caller at a beef plant on 8th and 8th reported that an intoxicated employee wouldn't leave. Here's like one of the worst horrible like meat factories in America, in the world perhaps. And you know, where guys were getting sick and dying of COVID and people are losing fingers and legs in chopping accidents. And here's a guy who gets so drunk he doesn't want to leave the plant, doesn't want to leave work. I don't know. Maybe he just had a beef with the company. And perhaps he didn't have someone to meet. Because he wouldn't leave the grounds. Because it's a daily grind. Yeah, no, nothing. No, nothing at all. Ah, well, that's Greeley Crimes Old Times for this Saturday morning, or Saturday early afternoon, I should say, February 20th, 2021, here in the Daverhood.
Mr. Horace Greeley was no fool. I'm sure that you'll agree with me that Greeley was no fool.
What he is getting at is that Mr. Greeley was no fool.
Yippee-yi, 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 yi, yi, yippee-yi, yippee-yi, yippee-yi.
Yes, that was Greeley Crimes Old Times, one of the many fun things that we do every week on Dave's Gone By with me, Dave Lefkowitz. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for telling people about this program. Saying, you know, and there's folks, oh, I can't watch this show. It's on Facebook. I don't want to be part of it. I don't get it. I don't want them having my information. It's fine. Watch the old episodes on YouTube or davesgoneby.com or at archive.org or castbox.fm. So many ways that you can access this stuff from a week ago, from a year ago, from 15, 18 years ago when we first started doing Dave's Gone By. So davesgoneby.com is our main website with thousands of hours of entertainment on it. I want to remind you that DaveLefkowitz.org is where you can read a whole bunch of the things that I've written over the years. I didn't get to mention and I didn't get to thank Rabbi Sol Solomon for being with us in the Daverhood. Remember that his website is shalomdammit.com. Shalom, D-A-M-M-I-T. shalomdammit.com. You can read his rabbinical reflections. There are links there to the interviews that he has done for this program. There's also links to his one-man off-Broadway show, Shalom Dammit, An Evening with Rabbi Sol Solomon, that at one point when this pandemic is over, he would love to do again somewhere. So, and also the TV show that he did, speaking of cable television, for cable TV more than a decade ago. It's all there at shalomdammit.com. And he has a Twitter feed as well. It's at Rabbi Sol Solomon. At Rabbi Sol Solomon. I want to also, I'm delaying, I'm stalling, but I can't do it any longer. We do have a Colorado Limerick of the Damned, because of, Joyce and I have spent so much time in northern Colorado, fell in love with the place, and it occurred to me it would be a great thing, not really, but a fun thing to create as many poems as I could. Short, rude, little 5-line limerick poems about every possible place in Colorado that I could think of. Big cities, small towns, tiny little zip codes where literally all there is a post office and a gas station. Doesn't matter. They all fall into our Colorado limericks of the damned. And this week, we go to a place called Carson, Colorado. There really is a Carson, Colorado. So here's Johnny.
You're the poetry man. A limerick is a comic verse of 5 lines, in which lines 1, 2, and 5 will end with words that rhyme. And likewise, verses 3 and 4 also end with words that rhyme. So this is a limerick. Rocky Mountain.
Colorado, Rago, indeed. Our Colorado limerick of the damned. And this one, we go to Carson. It's actually Fort Carson, Fort Carson, Colorado. Let me tell you a bit about it. It's basically a purely Army military town. It's a military post in central Colorado, kind of near Colorado Springs, established in 1942 as Camp Carson after Pearl Harbor. It was a place to start training people really, really quickly. As a matter of fact, Colorado Springs donated its land nearby to the Army for the war effort. The post was named after General Kit Carson, who was a frontiersman who also helped the Union and killed a whole bunch of Indians during the Civil War. And in the 1950s, Camp Carson became Fort Carson, which now uses its 137,000 acres for training and maneuvers. In fact, the Army wanted to make it even bigger. They wanted even more land, but at that point, local civilians were opposed to it, and the matter was dropped. Now, because this camp, this base, this training place in Colorado is in Colorado, it's one of the most desirable stations for cadets to train in all of America. Its motto is best hometown in the Army. Former chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff Colin Powell trained there, as did former presidential candidate Wesley Clark. So yeah, kind of an important place and a good place to have for our boys in the blue, not boys in blue, what do they call boys in the military, our servicemen. We thank you for your service in Fort Carson, Colorado. As part of our gratitude for your service, I'm going to read this poem, this sick little poem. It's actually not a dirty one. You can keep the kids in the room. It's just tasteless and sick and sad. Our Colorado limerick of the damned for Fort Carson. A troubled young man from Fort Carson developed a passion for arson. He did his research, then kindled a church and burned up 3 pews and a parson. That is our Colorado limerick of the damned, ladies and gentlemen. Send your comments and complaints to davesgoneby@aol.com, davesgoneby@aol.com, or always feel free to contact me directly on Facebook. If you're a Facebook friend, you can message me personally, or even better, just post and let me see stuff under the show where people can post their messages or post on my page. Would love to hear from you, your thoughts about the show, your suggestions, what you liked, what you don't like, all that sort of thing. It's you guys are what keep this show going week after week up through our 786th episode, Mass Appeal, which was today's show, February 20th, 2021. Well, before I let you go, let me appeal to you to tell your friends, people who've never seen the show before, but who like rock and pop music. Special week next week, February 27th, on this program. Our guest is going to be the very, very fine, even brilliant singer-songwriter and guitarist, Matthew Sweet. Matthew has a new album out. It's called Cat's Paw, and it's really good. It's a guitar-driven rock pop album. The writing is strong. The tunes are there. Matthew Sweet, everybody thinks, girlfriend, that was 25 years ago. Whatever happened to him? Went to Japan. It's like, no, he's been putting out good music all the way through. But this is really good stuff. New stuff from Matthew Sweet, and Matthew is going to be, well, I don't know, Mr. Sweet is going to be talking to Rabbi Sol Solomon next Saturday in the Daverhood, right here on the show. I think it's going to be just a phone call, so it might not be a Zoom thing, but still, Matthew Sweet, our guest, next Saturday, and then moved by a month for very, very reasonable reasons, for understandable reasons. I got a photograph in my email this week. I got a picture of the man who was supposed to be the guest on today's episode of Dave's Gone By. This is a person that I've grown up with. I think he helped work on one of my computers years ago. And a fellow who has been in, well, he was in a band back in like the late 60s. That was an early psychobilly, psychopunk garage rock band called the Third Bardo. And they had a minor hit, and then nothing ever became of them, and they went off on their separate ways, and he went into like putting computers together and internet technology. His name is Richie Goldklang. Richard Goldklang, and he's from these parts. He's from Long Island. And a cool dude, and Richie was supposed to be our guest on the show. And then, without warning, and thank goodness I'd already eaten, he sent me a picture of himself this past week. And maybe next week, if I get permission, I will share it with you.
I don't think he wants anyone to see that.
It was like he took 2 pieces of raw liver and put them under his eyes here, teeth out, lips swollen all to hell, blood on his lip, his hair, at least he has some hair, literally every which way, but like a hydra coming out of his head, and a hangdog face. Looked like he had been, like
attacked.
Like people who gang rape the gang rapers in prison. Like the worst of the badasses just beat him and punched him all to hell and left him for dead. And it wasn't that at all, thank God. He has just been undergoing the most extreme possible dental surgery and dental work. And they must be going like up into the sinus and breaking, not just they must be breaking half of his head open to do whatever they have to do. Because I hope he will let me share this picture. It's horrible, but it's hysterical that this is merely dental work. It has completely turned his face into, like if you were to put a bacon and eggs breakfast on the street and then run over them with a tractor trailer, it would look something like this poor guy's face. So he's like, Dave, I don't think I'm ready to do this show this week. However, give me another couple of weeks and we should be good. So at the end of March, we have rescheduled our upcoming friend of the neighborhood, Richie Goldklang. So next week we got Matthew Sweet. Next month we've got Richie Goldklang. In between, working on some stuff. Can't say anything yet. Kind of exciting if it does work out. How are you going to figure out what's coming up on Dave's Gone By? Check our Facebook page. Check davesgoneby.com. We will keep you posted. Now, for the last item, or do we want to save this for next week, babe? Do we want to share the video?
Let's save it.
We're going to save it because my throat's going and we're way over time on this episode of the show. And now we've got something to look forward to also for next week besides Matthew Sweet. So until then, first of all, thank you one more time to so many folks, to Leslie Hoban Blake of Critic Circle on YouTube, to David Sheward of the David Desk blog and theaterlife.com and culturalweekly.com. Thank you super so much to John Pielmeier.
What a great guest on the show and on the quiz.
He was so kind and so fun.
He was probably the highest scoring guest, no?
I don't think that. I think he only got 2 points, but he was a great player and a fine guest. And by the way, watch the movie he wrote. It's on tonight on Lifetime TV, and it sounds like a whole bunch of fun. It is, of course, where is it? I have it here. It's always on the last page I look for. Long Island Serial Killer, A Mother's Hunt for Justice. I guess it would be worse if it was Long Island Serial Killer Justice, A Mother's Hunt for Her, That would be a lot worse. But John Pielmeier, thank you so much. Catch that show on Lifetime tonight. Thank you to Rabbi Sol Solomon whose website is shalomdammit.com. And that's the starting place for all things Rabbi Sol. Thank you so much to my darling, wonderful, and adorable wife, Joyce. Love you, babe. Any final words for our audience?
It was a very good show.
Well, thank you. It was a very good show. Helped immeasurably behind the scenes. She never wants to get on camera, but she's there with the sound effects. She's there with the Facebook and the watch party, and just giving me support and keeping me, keeping me on pace for the program. Thank you to my love, Joyce, and I want to send out love especially to my father, who will be turning. Oh, let me count the years. I believe on Tuesday, my dad will be turning, God willing, 84 years old. So love you, Dad. These have not been the best times for him in terms of health and everything else. It's been bad. It's been rough. But years and years and years, he gave me tremendous love and tremendous support. And, tons of stories. If you want to hear my dad.
You told me he was a good kisser.
Joyce is remembering this one incident that happened by accident.
Yeah, right.
I was goaded because I don't like kissing almost. I like kissing Joyce, but I don't like kissing anybody. Keep away from my mouth,
Oh, God.
I'm just saying. I'm not a kissy person, but sometimes they make me, kiss her aunt. The birthday party. Kiss this woman who's got makeup and perfume, and I go, kiss this and hug. I don't mind hugging, but kiss, yeah. So it's like kiss your father, kiss mother, part, kiss. It's a holiday, it's a birthday, it's a thing. So I move to kiss Dad on the cheek, and he somehow, totally by whatever, turned. At that moment, I got him on the lips, and I was like, first of all, ah. And it's not a homophobic, well, maybe it's a little bit of a homophobic thing, but it's a Freudian thing. It's like, I'm not kissing my dad in any way, shape, or form on the lips. And the worst part is it was like battery acid. I've never kissed another man in my life. Do we have a different, chemistry?
Maybe.
Is there, because literally, the one time I ever had an experience like that, moron that I was, I don't know if I've ever told this story.
God.
I had a tape recorder when I was younger. I had a cassette tape recorder, and it had stopped working for some reason. I didn't know what was going on. I hadn't used it in a while. So I open up the back, I take out the battery, and I see that it's wet. I'm like, did I pour water on this? Did I spill iced tea? Did I do anything? Why would a battery be wet in the back of a thing? So this is what Dave does. Why is there water on this battery? So I taste it. With the tip of my tongue, and I swear to God, I haven't had full taste sensation.
It's acid, right?
It was acid. I was burning my tongue with battery acid on the end of it. I'm like, what does this taste like? I haven't had that experience except when I accidentally kissed my dad for like a quarter second on the mouth, and I think my tongue was like, I said, oh, everything was wrong about my life in that one moment. This is why I'm not a kisser in any shape or form. But if you want to know more about my dad, Dad was great for many years on the show because Dad would call in when we were doing the program on WGBB radio. That's where we first started for many years. And it was a late night show. We got on at 11 o'clock. And if the next show hadn't come on to take over afterwards, we'd just stay on the air until we got too tired and went home. And that would be great because the show itself was over and it was just play. It was just take phone calls, get on the mic, play a song or two, banter with Jeff Goodman if he was there, or just, do whatever I wanted. I loved that. Of course, I'm a creature of media. And Dad would call in because he would be listening to the show. And then he'd still be awake and I'd be awake. And I'd have these wonderful conversations with the types of conversations that I wouldn't have with him in real life. Because I have my own life and I want to deal with family and it's busy and this and that. But in that moment, right, when you're on the air, you're open to everything. And suddenly it's like, oh, let me talk to my father for 20 minutes. And everybody can listen. It's on the radio. So it's killing two birds, if you will. And we had the most wonderful conversations and times. Dad would stay on sometimes for an hour, just yapping until 1 o'clock, until he was falling asleep, I was falling asleep. And it was great radio. And by the way, It's not lost to history. This is in our archives too. So if you look up Philip Lefkowitz in davesgoneby.com in the search box, you'll see all these shows he was on going back, I guess about 12, 13, 14 years now. Maybe not quite that many. So check them all out. Check out all the archives, davesgoneby.com. Well, there finally goes the Daverhood for this week. I will see you, I'm hoping, next week, next Saturday, February 27th, 2021, for the 787th episode of Dave's Gone By. It's going to be a sweet episode indeed, because Matthew Sweet will be joining us. So have a great one. Let's hope we don't have to shovel any more snow. Happy birthday, Dad, and gone by.
Days gone by, days gone by, days gone by.